Good morning, everyone. My name is Kelly DeFogan, and welcome to the fourth edition of the Women of Diversity Summit and Awards. I am so humble and so grateful to see you all here on a Saturday morning to celebrate the International Women's Day. It's such a very grateful moment for me to see you all here, to see your participation, and for um, this event in honor of International Women's Day. Again, like I said, my name is Kelly DeFogan, and I am the founder and executive director of Afropolitan Canada, and I will also be your host today. So, this event is definitely different. This is our fourth edition, and this is the first time that we're doing this virtually. It has helped us reach many women across Canada. And we are so happy to be here to celebrate these women who have done many great things. Women of color, Black women who have done amazing things this year in 2020 despite COVID-19. And we are here to celebrate them, but we're also here to learn. So we have like an amazing panel this year that we will be learning from. So without further ado, I just wanted to give you a rundown of the event today. We will have an amazing conversation with a trailblazing woman, Afropolitan. She will give us the tips, the information about entrepreneurship to boost us, to help us get better in our entrepreneurship journeys and much more and beyond that. It doesn't have to be just the entrepreneurship. Then we'll have the award ceremony during which we will recognize the work of many women. And thanks to our sponsors this year, Air Canada and Shea Moisture, we've been able to extend our reach beyond Ontario. And we've received nominations from Alberta, from Quebec. So this is a first for us. We're very humble. And then we see that this celebration is for the women who are doing amazing things every single day. And we just want to take this time to say, we see you, we encourage you, do not give up, we will uplift you. And so the Women of Diversity is really about celebrating the Black women and women of color in Canada who are always creating change. And so some of us have been really affected by the pandemic last year and even this year in terms of businesses, in terms of jobs. And with this event, we hope that this is an opportunity to acquire new skills, new ideas as to how to boost our job search or how to build back our enterprises, our businesses. So thank you all. And I'm going to say it in French because our organization is also very bilingual. So bear with me while I say it in French. Mon nom c'est Kelly DeFogan et je suis la fondatrice d'Afropolitan Canada. Donc je voulais juste vous remercier toutes et tous d'être venus ce matin pour cette quatrième édition du Sommet et Prix des Femmes de la Diversité. C'est vraiment gratifiant de vous voir tous de bonne heure. Pour célébrer cette journée internationale de la femme qui aura lieu lundi. Donc, je vous remercie tous de votre appui et sachez que cet événement aussi, c'est pour supporter les femmes noires et les femmes de couleur à travers le pays qui font des choses, de belles choses pour notre société canadienne et qui ont besoin d'être reconnues, qui ont besoin d'être célébrées chaque jour. Et cet événement est justement pour cela, c'est pour créer cette communauté-là. All right, so we'll start by, again, I just want to thank Air Canada and then Shea Moisture for the support this year, for trusting our vision, for trusting the work that we do in our community, the Afro-Caribbean community here in Ontario. And without further ado, I would love to welcome Tonya Yearwood, a representative of Air Canada, to come on stage, our virtual stage, to say a couple of words. Hi, Tonya.
Hi, hello, bonjour. My name is Tonya Yearwood. I'm a senior IT project manager at Air Canada. I started my journey at Air Canada just over 3 years ago, and within that time, I founded the Electra Ls. an employee resource group focused on the voice and development of women in aviation. I'm also the founder of the Black Aviation Professionals Network, which focuses on providing mentoring and networking opportunities to Black professionals in all areas of aviation. Air Canada is proud of its first association with Afropolitan Canada and to be the presenting partner of the 2021 Women of Diversity Summit and Awards. What a beautiful way to celebrate International Women's Day and recognize inspiring and leading Black women and women of color across Canada who are creating positive changes in our society. Workplace diversity is one of the most important keys to an organization's success. Diversity brings different talents together and using different sets of skills when working towards a common goal. It leads to a more creative, innovative, and productive team. It's important that we continue to cultivate an environment where employees are empowered to reach their full potential. Some of Air Canada's diversity and inclusion initiatives include the following. Last year, Air Canada signed the Black North Initiative CEO Pledge, focused on promoting the elimination of anti-Black systemic racism and on creating opportunities for Black people within the company. We have also exceeded targets to have women represent at least 30% of senior management by 2020. As well, we met our objective to have at least 30% of our board of directors be women. In February, throughout Black History Month, we sought to surface stories and thoughts from some of our Black colleagues. We hosted a panel discussion featuring thought leaders in the Black Canadian community, like Dorothy Rowe, CEO and founder Audace ou Féminin and Salon International de la Femme Noire, and Nathan Hall, CEO of Culture Check, and our very own Norman Houghton, Director, In-Flight Entertainment and Connectivity, Product and Analytics. Ooh, that was a mouthful. This panel shared their stories, expertise, and experiences as the event covered a variety of topics. We will soon officially announce that Air Canada will be a founding partner of the Anti-Racism Education Center in the Faculty of Education at the University of Ottawa. The center will facilitate systemic change through a three-pronged approach: research, support, and anti-racism training. We look forward to sharing more information soon about our involvement and the center's intention to help others learn to leave the rooms they work in better. We are also proud to support the Black Aviation Professionals Network, a network that aims to help foster growth and development in the Black community, specifically to show that there is space for them in the aviation industry. Thank you, Kelly and Fatou from Afropolitan Canada, for the opportunity to join this great summit. We here at Air Canada congratulate all award finalists, and we wish you all a wonderful Women of Diversity Summit. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tanya. And we are so grateful to having you sharing those words with us on behalf of Air Canada. We appreciate all the work that you're doing also for the Black community here in Canada, very much aligned with the work that we also do here at Afropolitan Canada. Before we move to the next segment, I also want to take this time to truly appreciate the work of the Afropolitan Canada's team. It's a small but very mighty team. We are a team of 4 people, and this event is a result of 8 months of work. So we are so proud. I just want to take this time to acknowledge my peers, because we wouldn't be able to do it with the 4 of us hands-on on this event. So thank you again, Air Canada. Thank you to Shea Moisture. They love to work behind closed doors, and but we feel their support across the Black community here in Canada, and this event wouldn't be what it is today without their support as well. So, without further ado, we're going to move into the next segment, which everybody is super excited about. I am personally very excited because these 2 wonderful women are trailblazing women. One here in Canada and in Ontario, she's doing amazing things. And another one, international, and she is, we're always learning from her. So it is obviously the fireside chat between Yvonne Ben and Afua Hussein. And so this fireside chat talk is about entrepreneurship. This is an opportunity to explore ways to adapt to the new realities of a post-COVID world for entrepreneurs, for Black women, for women in general. So I'd like to introduce Yvonne Ben. She is a fashion blogger and founder of the platform The K-Scope. Yvonne is an advocate for women and very involved within the Black community that I know. Over the past few years, she has played a very important role in the rise of African fashion in Toronto and abroad. K-Scope is a digital marketing and e-commerce hub made with small to medium-sized African food and fashion businesses in mind. And Yvonne, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Kelly, for that introduction. I was just blushing here. Like sometimes it takes a lot to just hear it, and I'm super excited to be here. I'd like to start off by encouraging the audience to please join the conversation in the chat. If you have any questions, please go ahead and drop them, and if time permits, we will ask them towards the ending. Perfect. So I will start off by introducing Afua. Afua Osei is a partnership strategist helping digital entrepreneurs build the skills, systems, and confidence to work with their dream brands. As a co-founder of She Leads Africa, Afua built the team and relationships to generate nearly $1 million in corporate revenue through innovative brand partnerships with global brands such as Facebook, Google, Unilever, Visa, and L'Oreal. Wow. How are you doing today, Afua?
I'm well, Yvonne. And hello, everyone. Thank you to the Afropolitan Canada team for the opportunity to join this incredible experience. I'm so grateful.
We're actually super excited to have you here, and I'm just looking forward to learning so much from you. I have taken the last couple of days just to learn about your journey, and that's probably what we're going to start off with. Tell us about your journey. I have seen you had a corporate career. You were in the courier side of things. You started off working, and then you transitioned into starting a community building brand called She Leads Africa, and then you transitioned to a full-fledged entrepreneur. So tell us about your journey.
Yes. So I promise you, if you would have asked me 10 years ago, would I be living in Lagos? Would I be running a business? The answer is absolutely no. This was not part of the plan. But what I did is I stayed open to new opportunities. I stayed aware of the potential for me to impact others and to use my skills, talents, and expertise to make a difference. So that really is the common thread across my entire journey and through all of the experiences that I've had. My family is Ghanaian. I was born and raised in the US outside of Washington, D.C. And I thought that is what I was going to do. I thought I was going to come back home, go into real estate. I really care about affordable housing and urban development, and that was going to be the plan. But while I was in business school, I had a colleague challenge me, and he said, "You care about impact, you care about helping people. If you want to do that, the best place for you to do that is to go back to Africa." And I said, "Oh, is it true? Is it possible? Could it be me?" I'd never thought about that. I'd never thought about to do a summer internship. I went to Lagos for the first time. My mother was like, "Be careful. I watched their movies. Be careful." I said, "I'll be fine. It's okay." And I had an absolutely incredible experience. It was transformational. I loved seeing all of the smart young people who were there, just like me, who had grown up across Canada, UK, France, Germany, Australia, but who were saying that they wanted to use the experiences and the privilege that they had to do better for their home countries and for those local communities. And so I then went back to school. I ended up getting a consulting offer, and I moved to Lagos full time to serve as a management consultant. And while I was in the corporate space, I still had the idea in the back of my mind about how can I help other young women find success in their careers, in their businesses, and how can we share information and resources. I ended up launching She Leads Africa, just so that everyone should know, the first 2-3 times that I launched it, it flopped. It didn't work. That happens to most of us. It doesn't always go the way you think it's going to go. So that's like a helpful encouragement. I tried it, it didn't go. Tried it again, didn't go. Still had my job. I kept my job. Keep your job. Okay, I still had my job. And then I just ended up finding the right person to work with. She was another colleague in the consulting firm. And we tried it again. And then, wow, it became this big thing that went over my head. And everyone was like, what's next? What's next? What's next? And that's how the business started to grow and scale. But it's been an absolute honor and a privilege to have the ability to run She Leads Africa, to be able to support young women of the diaspora on the continent to find success however they define it. But ultimately, it was really about, how can I just use my skills to support other people in my community, and how can I make sure that I'm having fun and enjoying myself along the way as well?
Wow, wow, wow. I was just listening to you speak and listening to you just, being driven by helping others, by serving, and you kept going, And this is the first time I'm hearing that She Leads Africa didn't, work out the first couple of times. So it's very inspiring to hear that. Thank you so much for sharing, and your whole journey too. You started off working in the corporate space, and then you challenged yourself and you went back to the continent, because a lot of times, especially now, when people think about the continent, especially if you came from there, there's just onset of headache. I don't know if it happens to everyone else. You just have like, it's like, you know
Headache,
what?
headache.
Yes.
I'm hearing you. Yeah.
So I'm super, and I'm thankful. Like, and I'm sure a lot of women are thankful that you kept on going, you kept on pushing, because people have learned so much, I myself included. So I want to thank you for forging forward with She Leads Africa. I would say, like, for my next question, would you say you made it? Or actually, sometimes when people say like this person has made it, in my head, I would say Afua has made it. But to you, when did you realize that, okay, I'm actually killing this? Like, I've made it. Like, I've arrived. I think that's the slang.
That's a interesting question. So first of all, shout out to Brenda, because Brenda said my skin is popping. Brenda, I appreciate you, girl. I agree. I'm working hard. You got to do your skincare routine morning, noon, and nights. Let's go. Let's keep it going. So around the question of, have I made it? Do I see myself as a success? Absolutely not. Because what I think my journey has shown me is that each level prepares you for the next one. Absolutely enjoy where you are, learn as much as you can, but there's still so much to do, and there's still so much for the organization to do. There's still so much for me to learn and continue to grow. So absolutely, I have not made it. But that doesn't mean I don't appreciate where we are now. And I think the first moment that really happened to me was, we hosted an event in February 20. No, it wasn't February because it was warm. I think it had to be maybe like May, June in London. And we were hosting it at Facebook's headquarters. And it was the first time we had hosted an event where nobody on our team lived in that city. So it wasn't like Accra, Lagos, Abuja, close. Even Nairobi, when we did Nairobi, we had a partner who was helping us. This was the first time we did a She Leads Africa event independently, and more than 150 people came out, bought their tickets, supported us. And the reason why that stands out to me is because it wasn't based on our friendships. It wasn't based on people doing us a favor. It was based on people seeing the value of what we had created, people wanting to connect to the community, and for people understanding and trusting in the brand that we had created. And as a founder, my desire is for the business to be bigger than me, to be better than me, to move on without me, for me to be able to step away, and for the business to keep going. And that's what I absolutely loved about that experience in 2016, is because it wasn't, people didn't know me. They weren't coming because they knew Afua, they went to school with me, et cetera, et cetera. Absolutely not. They came because they trusted in the brand. And so that is the blessing, and I hope what we aspire to as career professionals. You want your reputation and your work to go before you. As entrepreneurs, you want your brand to stand outside of you hustling and working every single day. And having that reputation and that story and that trust was so powerful. So that was a successful thing. And that's what really, I think, pushed us further into community building and making sure the structure of the organization was solid, because you never want it to be based on you as an individual. The business
Right.
should work whether or not I'm sleeping or not. And I spend most of these days chilling. The business should go if I'm chilling or not. So that really pushes us to say, let's make sure that we're checking our human resources policies. Do we have our employee handbook? Are we doing a better job at hiring and recruiting and training people? Are we giving an opportunity for other people to step up and step out in front about the organization? How can we step back as founders? Because we want this community and this company to continue to grow beyond us. And since then, we've done events in Toronto. So I don't know if anyone came to our Toronto event back in the day. Yes. We Toronto, New York, DC, Cape Town, Durban, Johannesburg, and that wasn't because of me as an individual. It was because of the business. And so that's what success, I think, looks like. But I'm excited for me as a person to continue to grow. As if we were in Lagos, we'd say this isn't my last bus stop. Absolutely not. It is one way for me to live out my purpose, for me to live out my passion here in this moment. But the idea is that we continue to learn, we continue to grow, we continue to impact our communities, we continue to go beyond our borders. And I'm excited to continue to do that as well.
I'm actually, I loved everything. I feel like most from everything you've mentioned, there's this like sense of gratitude, of being thankful for the opportunities that you've received, and then looking forward to just making sure everybody gets access to that. And then also just when you're in a specific place, you're not thinking, oh, what's next? You're enjoying. And I think that's what a lot of us, I believe a lot of us can relate, where it's like, we are always looking forward to what can happen, and what's going to happen, without actually focusing on how can we better the current situation that we're in. And then you went forward, because I see She Leads Africa and I'm like, okay, they're global. Like, that's a huge company. But it took your discipline. It took you actually saying, I need this to grow better than, bigger than bigger than me. Like, I want people to just say, no, She Leads Africa, and no, She Leads Africa, and that a huge company or a huge group of people are making it possible. So I would say, like, because we're speaking to like a bunch of different women who are entrepreneurs, women who are currently just in the corporate space thinking, okay, what is happening? And, with COVID and the pandemic and how it just came and like shook tables. I feel like COVID came and there was no warning. I think it was that whole 2025. Everyone was like, oh,
there was a warning. There was a warning. People weren't reading the news. People were not reading the news. They knew, but we weren't. We were just having fun. We were having fun. But go ahead, continue.
Yes, we were. Yes, we. I think, and then what happened was everybody, there's how there are different stages of grief where you're like, no, it's not happening. It's not. I don't care. I'm living my life, and I think a lot of us started doing that and not planning for the future. Like, okay, something is happening right now, and I need to plan. And I think when I look at you and I look at how you've blazed, I feel like the pandemic affected a lot of people, but Afro's like untouched. Like, we're like, I'm sorry, what vaccine did she get? How did she get this? How is she already on top? So tell us how you just got covered yourself in a sense. Like, what did you do for your not the corporate space per se, but how did you make sure that the opportunities that you had for She Leads Africa, everything, like, how did you just make sure everything was still going or growing and continuing when the pandemic hit?
So first and foremost, for me, it is all because of God's grace. And I can't even lie, because sometimes what we miss out in these conversations about life, career opportunities is that timing and favor are so important. So I can't even pretend that it was all me. That would be a lie. Absolutely God's grace covering me and going before me. One is that there are some things that you're just in the right place at the right time. And it's just, we thank God. That's all you can literally do, is just be grateful for that. SLA was always a digital business. My business partner already she was in the States for 4 years out of us running the business. So us being on Slack, us having conference calls, us being a digital business, that was just part of our core. And that's how we started the business. So in a situation in which we can't do things in person, absolutely affected us, because, we love to be outside, love to be hosting events, but we had already built out the infrastructure to enable us to do that. And we literally had hosted an event in Johannesburg 1 week before they closed the airports, and I was still in South Africa when the president was like, airports are closing on Wednesday. And that was on Monday. I said, let me get out of here. So
Wow.
absolutely, it shifted the work, but we had already had the infrastructure there. I think the reason why it looks like we kept shining and we kept moving is that I always try to think about how can I be of value and how can I be of service. And when you're in the business of solving people's problems and you are in the mindset of how can I come in here and make it easier for someone else, opportunities will find you. They will do
Wow.
it. So we had a client where we had done some in-person events and the contract was for in-person events. Of course, COVID comes. Instead of waiting to be like, oh, what's this person going to do? I said, hey, Phil, hey, Phil, remember us? Because of this, I want to share with you a plan as to how we can still help you achieve your goals, but do it in a digital basis based on our expertise. And we've been doing this for the past 3 or 4 years. Boom.
Wow.
He said, okay, let's do it. We did it until June, and then we got a renewal agreement. But that was because I was proactive saying, hey, my clients still have problems. They still need to achieve their goals. So how can I step in to be of service? We had a whole bunch of other clients that were like, wow, we don't know how to do any of this. We're like, let me raise my hand. Let me advise you. Let me support you. Let me assist you in this transition. And so I think for this time period, as well as as we step into our post-COVID future, whatever that looks like, if we change our perspective from how can I get something out of this to how can I help elevate, uplift, and serve others, it changes the game. And that's why I think I continue to win. Obviously, God got me. My mother prays. She's one of those prayer warriors. Like 3 a.m., you can't even sleep. She's stomping up and down somewhere doing the praise. I'm grateful because I'm getting the benefits of it. But you have to say, when I step into this space, how can I put people before me? And when I put people before me in the work, I'm going to end up on top because they're going to need me. They're going to need my assistance. They're going to come and look for me. And I'm going to end up winning and be able to get access to more things moving forward.
Girl, I was just like dancing here. Like I was just like, okay, like she's giving life. I am so and I see that people are just saying amen, 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 because you are preaching. You are preaching. And I'm just gonna just say let's just give it up for our moms who have been praying and continue to keep praying, because prayers brought us here, and we're hoping those prayers will, forth us forward. So thank you for that great answer. I think one thing that stood out was infrastructure. Structure is key to making sure that if anything, were to happen, you're already, sort of solidified in planning what to do forward, right? So you realize that, okay, She Leads Africa is already digitized. So let's look for maybe other ways or other tools to bring this in and to make it, better, or to serve more people. And I think one thing that most people forget is the fact that when you're solving a problem, then nothing else matters. If you're solving a problem, people see the value in that, right? And if you're looking to serve people, then you would gain more out of it, right? A lot of people are just saying, flip the tables over, because it's true. But one thing that I heard from you was that I was grounded. And of course, God definitely, made sure that you were at the right place at the right time. And you also had this knowledge, because a lot of people wouldn't know how to forge forward, right? A lot of people would be like, let's just see what they say. If they want their money back, if they're looking to postpone the events 2022 or 2023. But you said, you know what, we can still do this. Like, we can still do this. Let's, restructure it in this way. I would say then, what would you say to our audience, like people who are home who have been negatively impacted? Because, with the stats, Black women have been negatively impacted by COVID. Like, we have been thrown all the way to the back of the bus, and we're still getting run over by the bus. But what advice would you give for those who have probably either lost their jobs due to COVID? Should they even think of pivoting? Or those who are still in their jobs, but things are now like at home, and they're probably putting in more hours, and those people who are entrepreneurs who are like, oh, my business stopped working, or where it got cut in half because I'm a service provider. I can't, help people anymore. And the nails, people who do nails, who do hair, makeup, event planners, all of them are now like at home and looking for ways to pivot in this current COVID era. What advice would you give to them?
Well, first and foremost, it is hard, and we're all struggling and trying to figure it out. And I think that's so important that we recognize that this is weird. This is unprecedented. This is outrageous, right? This is outrageous. And I can't gloss over that, and I can't pretend that it's not real, because it absolutely is. And at the end of last year, regardless of the business growing and all these great things, I was just like, I am tired. I am tired. This does not feel good. I did not feel good. So I think we all have to, they say hold space. However, the language that you want to use for it, but I think it's okay to sit in it for a while and not feel pressured to get up and be moving and, doing all these different kind of things. It's okay to be like, yo, this sucks. This is really horrible. And the fact that we can't be with our families and we can't travel, we can't explore the world and like the world, all this stuff, it's not good. And I think it's okay to sit there in that space. And if you decide that you've had that moment, you've recognized it, and you want to move about, I think that what you want to do is go back to your core and think about what's important to you. What are your values? What does success look like for you? And could this be an opportunity for you to revamp and restructure the entire way that you are approaching your work, your lifestyle, your career, your business, and how you show up? Taking it as a time to reflect and re-strategize. I think the third thing that I would say is finding community, like we're here today, getting in the chat, sending DMs, talking to people to say, how can we come together to find ways to improve and support each other? And it could be that, independently you couldn't do this, or it's overwhelming, but two people coming together can work on a project, can work on a collaboration, can get access to a new audience, can brainstorm and, enter into a new market. I think that that's so critical and it's so important. And I think lastly, we all have bills to pay. And sometimes we have to do things that we do not want to do. We don't want to do. And that might mean you got to go on to Fiverr, or you got to go on to Indeed and get a job that isn't your preference and it's not your choice. And sometimes it won't always be great, but we got to do what we need to do to keep it moving forward. For me, it's like, okay, do I need a part-time job? Do I need to babysit? Do I need to, do some online stuff, some simple kind of things? Because of course we still have to keep it moving, and we got to have that income streams. But the most important thing is, I think, sitting and taking the time and not being in the rush to keep it moving, but saying, how can I reflect? How can I strategize? And how can I figure out, how do I improve and do better moving forward? How do I take this as an opportunity to see where were my blind spots? Where was I slacking? And how can I be diligent and intentional about moving forward? If your business has decreased, okay, this means that we need to do better with our finances and we need to tighten up some of our operations. If you're in a career field where you're like, I feel stuck, I'm not trying to do this anymore, is this an opportunity to take an online class, to try something new, just to explore and open up that creativity in a new kind of way? If you're at home and you're not sure what your next direction is, read some books, look around, see what other people are doing to really kind of spark that idea and get you to try new things. I think what happens as we get older is we stop trying. We're like, oh, this is the one thing I went to school for. This is the one thing I'm supposed to do. But I think this is the best moment as ever to say, let me try out this new project. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But let me give myself the space to try, explore, and see what happens.
Thank you so much for that. I would say most of the things that you've shared, I find that a lot of people sometimes hear these things, but they just don't act on it, right? And I feel like it takes a lot to say, okay, this is happening right now. I understand. I'm just either going to remain and just go through the motions, or I'm going to plan or look for a different way to pivot. And I think one thing you mentioned was collaboration, right? Collaboration is the key to growth. Like sometimes you have an idea, but you're like, okay, sometimes people just think, oh, I want to hold on to the idea so that it could just sit in and grow in their minds, but that doesn't really help. You have to actually speak it or find people who can help you bring that idea to life, right? So for entrepreneurs, like lots of people right now are looking to, start a business, right? I know you went from, working corporately to starting a business. What skills would you give them? Because like, this is a COVID era. I've seen lots of businesses. I have a friend who he was working, he lost his job, he got laid off. He started a grocery store and he's killing it. So COVID has also brought opportunities and brought, people ideas. What would you say, for those who are saying, oh, you know what, I have an idea and I'm actually going to start. And I know this one friend who can make this work. Both of us have our skills. Would you recommend like skills that they need, or like what does it take to actually be an entrepreneur? Because I'm still learning. I feel like I'm still sort of working my way through it. But for you, I feel like you would probably have great advice. What would you say?
Well, the beauty of this is that we're always learning, we're always improving, we're always getting better. So I can just share some high level, immediate things. I think the first thing that you want to do is just make sure that you are focused on the problem that you want to solve and for which consumer. Sometimes we're very generic. We're like, I want to work on this, but it's like, who is actually suffering from that and who is suffering from it enough that they want to actually pay you? Right? That's so important. Is if somebody's not willing to pay you, if they don't value it enough, then it's not going to be a business. So really dig deep to think, what's this problem that I'm solving and how can I best solve this problem in a way that's going to make me money? I think the second thing is it's absolutely fantastic to have a grand aspiration, to have a global goal, to be trying to take it to the next level. Absolutely. But the first thing is focus on the small way for you to deliver a service or a product and for you to get money. That's it. You just want to try and do that one time, do that 5 times, do that 10 times. And then you can look at ways to grow, expand, and do better. But at the beginning, it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be seamless, but you just want to go from that. I have something to give out. Somebody's going to pay me money. I'm going to collect that money. I'm going to give it to them. So that's what you want to do. I think the third thing is you want to really narrow down on how are you doing this better than anyone else or in a different kind of way? Because it doesn't matter how smart, how talented, how fantastic enough your ideas, the idea, like people are probably already doing it or they're solving that problem in another kind of way. We're all solving our problems and we're making, may not be the best, but we're making do by combining a bunch of different things. And so for you, you really want to be able to communicate. And that's what marketing is all about. It's not about posting on Instagram. It's not about doing no funny reels and TikTok dances. It's about you communicating to that other person how you're going to solve their problem better than anyone else. And those are
Thank
actually the most
you.
important things. That's it. That's it. And then everything else you do comes on top. It adds on. You can do better. But it's one, what's that problem that you're trying to solve? 2, how can you create a simple system for you to collect money? To make it easy for you to pay. Please stop making me pay you in the DMs. Right? Like make it easy for people to give you money. And then third is for you to communicate how you're going to solve my problem better and better than anybody else. And those are the 3 most important fundamentals if you're just getting started.
Thank you for sharing. I took some key points, but before we go on, I'm just going to tell you that your Reels and IGTV skills are on point. Like I would be watching and I'm like, why am I still on her page? Somebody take my phone.
Listen, if you haven't seen them, you can follow me at Hello Afua. If you're enjoying what I'm saying, tag me on Insta stories, please do. But I have fun. Like that's my creative outlet separate from work because, work is very serious. So when I'm on Reels, when I'm on Insta, it's just for enjoyment. It's just enjoyment. That's what I'm there for.
And we're feeding off of it. I love it. From your answer, you talked about a bunch of things. And one thing you said was validating the idea, right? People actually need this thing, right? And if people need it, find out who's already doing it and how you can actually do it better or make it more seamless, right? Another thing you talked about too is customer experience, right? Sometimes people just think, okay, yeah, pay me in the DMs because you saw what I was doing and I posted it on Instagram, so it's just normal for you to just go through that access. But you have to look, okay, how are people actually, what's the experience when someone is buying this service or getting access to this service? How can I actually emulate that to make it seamless so that my business is not suffering or I'm losing clients because they just came on Instagram to find reels and then I'm selling them something that they really don't want. But well, Instagram is working out a way to make shopping easier, but I guess in regards to being like an entrepreneur, don't make sure you have different ways people can actually pay you. So thank you for that. A lot of people are just loving the chat. Eden says, I love your social is so funny, but you still find ways to drop gems. That is so true. Like you be dropping gems and I'm writing down notes, but I'm still cackling. I'm like, what is going on here? Thank you so much, Afua.
Of course.
One thing you mentioned earlier on, which I think a lot of us as entrepreneurs or business owners or people working in the corporate space face, are challenges, right? You mentioned earlier how Shali's Africa did not start it wasn't an overnight success. It took different tries, and you probably faced a lot of challenges. Even like now, I'm sure you're probably facing challenges. What would you say to because COVID itself is a challenge, and now trying to act and react in this space, of course, you're going to face more obstacles. How was it for you overcoming those challenges, or how are you still overcoming them? And what advice would you give to women currently who are currently facing challenges?
So the greatest challenge that I found in starting a business is actually really probably going to be yourself. It's going to be how you show up in the space. It's going to be how do you run and organize it. And the company is a reflection of you. It's a reflection of your habits. It's a reflection of your values. And so if you want your business to elevate and if you want your business to improve, you have to consistently improve. So that ultimately is it. I think many of us, we blame so many other things. We're like, oh, this didn't work, or Instagram is hiding my post, or blah, 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 blah. And it's like all of those things are a reflection of you and how you're prepared as a leader, how you are thinking about things and strategy, how you've built your community of advisors and mentors and your network. They're all a reflection of how you show up. So that is the most important. That's the biggest challenge. And I think that's a challenge that never goes away. It never stops being difficult, trying to improve and be a better person. The first major challenge that I had was managing other people. I was 26 when we started SLA, and I was the oldest person in the company. I was, the at 26, and everyone was an intern, everyone was a volunteer, and just being able to communicate well and how do you manage people. And I had to build out that skill. So the advice that I give is be honest and take an inventory about who you are and what you're good at. What are those areas of development? And you have two approaches. You either work on them and you get better, or you go and find other people who are going to fill in those gaps and who are going to add value. But you are the central piece. If you're not organized or you don't make having that structure a priority, then your company's not going to be organized. If you don't prioritize customer service and you're not treating people with respect, then that's going to be reflected in your company. So you have to be honest about who you are and how you show up and what's important to you, and make sure that you put in the investments in yourself as a leader, as a manager, as an employee, as a team member, and then fill in those gaps across the organization as well.
Thank you so much, Afua. We're actually a little pressed for time, so I'm just going to take one question from the audience very quickly. Heather says, what do you think contributes to your financial stability during COVID?
Oh, that's quick and easy. So hopefully we can do a second one. My business partner and I are very cheap. I think we probably have money in our bank account from 2014. So we've always been very tight about spending and trying to be very strategic about that. Secondly, let me also be honest. In 2019, we actually raised venture funding. And so it just happens that we rolled into 2020 and couldn't do all the things that we told our investors we were going to go do. But we did have that cushion. But before venture funding and after venture funding, we always said we need to have room in the budget to give us flexibility, because we never wanted to be one of those companies that doesn't pay people on time. We never wanted to be one of those companies that was late. And so that really strict financial management for the company, and having a business partner who was tight on that, that's what she covers. She covers the money going out. I cover the money coming in. that enabled us to have that buffer and for us to project and say, you know what, if we had no more revenue coming in, we'd be able to still run the business for 12 months. We'd still be able to run the business for 18 months. And we actually created 3 different scenarios. And we're like, in case we can't do anything ever again outside, what's our scenario to get us to 20 months? What's our scenario to get us to 24 months so that we were able to be prepared in case those kind of things happened?
Thank you for that. So you talked about managing finances properly and then also making sure that you have plans in place to make money for in a post-COVID world. Thank you so much for sharing that. I know we're a little bit behind. So what I'll end off with this, right? What is next for Afua as an entrepreneur? Like, we've seen you killing it in the community building space. You've just digitized. People are just like, wow, I thought about that, but she has taken it to a different level. And then I've also seen you, dominating the branding and marketing space. Well, what next industry are you going to disrupt, Afua?
Well, I really realized that I enjoy coaching and supporting other people to reach their goals, and I love it. And it's something that I resisted. I had applied for a teaching program after university, but I ended up doing something else. So in the back of my mind, it's always been something that I've been interested in. So for me, I'm excited to coach other entrepreneurs, other experts who want to work with corporate clients. If you've been inspired by the way SLA has been able to secure these brand partnerships, I want to go and support people like that. I want to help them build out the infrastructure, train their team so that they can do it too. There is so much potential out there for us as young Black women, as multicultural women, as women of color to go out there and do it. And I want us to go and do that consistently. So that's what's happening next for me. If anyone is interested in that, absolutely find me on Instagram, join my community, click the link in my bio there to do that. If anyone wants to join She Leads Africa, please follow She Leads Africa on Instagram and all socials. Visit sheleadsafrica.org to join the community. But for me, I'm going to continue to support and train other people so that they can get access to all of the opportunities that I've been able to have access to myself.
Wow, thank you. Thank you, Afua. Thank you. I was just about to ask you where we can find you, but you are like 10 steps ahead, which is amazing. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you so much for the conversation. I know like this is pretty much it. I'm so blessed to have actually had this conversation with you. I've learned so much. Do you have any last words for us?
My last words is, Yvonne, let's smile. Let's do a video so I can post this on social.
Okay.
Hey, thank you, everyone. Thank you for this conversation. Thank you for tuning in. If you do have more questions, please feel free to send me a DM. I'll respond with a voice note or a quick response. But this is an absolutely incredible experience. So shout out to the entire Afropolitan Canada team. Thank you, Yvonne, for this great conversation. And I'm so blessed to continue on with the summit today.
Amazing. Thank you. Would love to have you join us. Well, I'll just pass it over to Kelly.
Yes, thank you, ladies. Thank you so much, Afua and Yvonne, for this amazing conversation. I learned so much. You know what, Afua? Preach. You did it today. Preach. I think there's one line that really stuck with me, and you said each level prepares you for the next one, and that just like hit me to the core. I was like, ooh, like it speaks to so many aspects of life, right? Not just like entrepreneurship. So I could apply it in different aspects of my life. So I just really want to take this time and say thank you. This is such a nice conversation, well needed, especially during this time. We need to uplift each other, to learn from each other, to inspire each other. And you two just did that for me. So thank you. And yeah, we'll continue with the rest of the programming right now. So next is what 20 Ladies Award Ceremony. So as you know, the Women of Diversity Summit and Awards is a twofold event. It's an opportunity to learn through the summit, but it's also an opportunity to celebrate Black women and women of color who impact their community. So for the first time, due to the pandemic, and thanks to the support of our sponsors, Air Canada and Shea Moisture, we were able to expand our nomination process across Canada, and we were happy to receive applications from Alberta, from Quebec, and Ontario. And from the pool of nominations, 7, not 5, because we always deal with ties, were selected by a jury composed of leaders in our community here in Ontario, leaders, composed of women and men who are leaders in our communities here in Ontario. And they basically decided who are going to be our 7 recipients of the 2021 awards this year. And before I get into it, due to COVID, I just want to let you know that your awards are coming in via mail next week. So we are shipping them, and because certain businesses here are not considered essential, so that is the reason why there has been a delay, but it's coming. So through the award ceremony, Afropolitan Canada celebrates in 5 categories. So the Youth Leadership Award, the Leadership Award, Entrepreneurship Award, the Trailblazing Award, and then Influencer Award. So I just want to say best of luck to all the nominees. Once I call the name of the winners, they'll be asked to come up on our virtual stage to present a 1-minute speech. So without further delay, we'll start with the first category. This category is a very competitive category. It is the entrepreneurship category. This is one where we receive 2/3 of the nomination every year, because it's so amazing to see Black women and women of color across Canada contributing to the Canadian economy. So we salute you. We encourage you to continue to build us up. And let's start. So here are the nominees for entrepreneurship. So we have Suzanne Chessa. She's the co-founder of Basis Consulting, which is a small business consulting firm in Edmonton, supporting small businesses in Canada. Basis Consulting's mission is to help small businesses apply for bank loans and grants. Then we have Safiya Mok. And Safiya Mok is the founder of Delis Events, an event planning company based in Alberta. Their main mission is to prepare events for customers, to satisfy them, and to bring a smile on their faces at the end of the day. Then we have Tolu Aladejebi. And Tolu is the founder of Black Hospitality, which is a consultancy agency with the mission to build inclusive work cultures for hospitality and tourism businesses. Tolu mentors young Black, Indigenous, and people of color who are navigating their way through a career in hospitality and tourism. She also launched a series in collaboration with Vancouver Worth Association titled Colorful Conversations, where she speaks one-on-one with other people of color entrepreneurs to discuss their journey, challenges, and suggestions for betterment within the sector. Then we have Eyitemi Popo. Eyitemi Popo is the founder of Aiba Magazine and Girls Trip Tour, where she connects African women in the diaspora to the continent through content and travel. We also have Kemi Bolatito Bello, and Kemi is the founder of KB Foods, an ethnic food retail business that started in the garage a few months after she landed in Canada. She finally opened a retail store in 2019 in Edmonton, providing quality and most affordable food to the community. KB Foods is located in Edmonton. And we also have Omowuni Batmus. And then she has created, I am missing one word here, the Oma Bamboo Shop, where she sells articles made from environmental sustainable products. And so we have a tie in this category because Our jury could not decide on one person. And before I jump, I almost forgot Teresa Lee Brown. My apologies. Teresa Lee Brown is an entrepreneur specialized in the management, production, and design of events for businesses. And she's also the founder of Lee event group. She's also the founder of Rise, which is an amazing event that is always taking place here in Toronto. Through that event and her non-for-profit organization, she supports Black women to rise and inspire themselves together. So those are all the nominees for the Entrepreneurship Award. And the two winners in this category are Eitemi Popo and Omuwuni Badness. So right now, I would love to ask Omuwuni and Eitemi to come on stage and share a couple of words.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much. I don't know if you can tell, I'm really excited. I'm really, really, really happy to have won. Thank you to the organizers of Afropolitan Canada. I'm really, really happy to be here. I was here last year, and I'm so happy to win this year. I also want to congratulate all the nominees. All of you are amazing. I did check all your profiles, and I'm just happy to be listed among you guys. Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate this opportunity, and I can't wait to do great things and share with you guys. Thank you so much for this great opportunity. Thank you.
So thank you, Kelly, and thank you, Afropolitan Canada, for this award. As you said, it was very competitive, so I never expected it. I'll just start by saying thank you to the community. I'm relatively new to Canada, so it really means a lot to be recognized by my sisters here. And yeah, shout out to all the other women nominated. I completely respect all your businesses. It's been such a hard year with COVID, especially for my business, which our main revenue stream was dependent on travel, but we were able to pivot and really focus on growing our community and the core of our mission, which is to connect women across Africa and the diaspora, as well as serve as a living example of a dream realized to the 120 plus girls in our mentoring program across North America, Ghana, Kenya, South Africa, and Nigeria. So thank you all. And comme l'événement est bilingue, je voulais remercier Afropolitan Canada pour le prix et l'honneur en français aussi, et pour le soutenir des femmes comme moi. Merci bien.
Merci beaucoup, Eitemi et Omuwuni. Thank you so much to you both. Congratulations, and congratulations to all the nominees, because for us, you all won, okay? So, and this is a recognition process, but at the end of the day, I just want to take the time to say to all the ladies, you won. Please keep it up. We are watching you. We are rooting for you. So thank you and congrats. All right. So next award is the Youth Leadership Award. And this one is dedicated to the Black youth in high schools and university colleges who are demonstrating excellent leadership in their community through their actions and innovative thinking. Through this award, Afropolitan Canada recognizes the outstanding young leaders' involvement in transforming communities. And then the nominee this year is Darlene Nwemsi. She is the president of Glendon African Network, York University, the Glendon campus. She's a driving force in her community. Before becoming the president of the GAN, Darlene was the co-director of external affairs. In this category, though, she did not have any competition, and she is therefore the winner of the Youth Leadership Award. So congratulations to you, Darlene. And now I'm going to ask her to come on stage to say a couple of words. Okay, it seems like Darlene is having troubles connecting to the internet. So we are going to move on to the next category, but as soon as she has a better internet connection, then we can have her back. If I can just, perfect. Okay, so I'm getting a green thumb from the production to keep going. Okay, so congratulations to Darlene, and we'll move to the Influencer Award. Okay. So in this category, we celebrate the women who use their platform to build a positive ecosystem for women, newcomers, youth, and marginalized communities through digital work, blogs, vlogs, social media, articles. And in this category, the nominees are Shakira Martin. Shakira is the founder of Carnival Spice, a fitness and entertainment community business that celebrates Caribbean culture by fitness programming and community initiatives. Then we also have Blessings Digga. Blessings is a key member of the Reach Out Network, which advocates for an effective mental health approach for the Black community, and she also uses social media to speak out on issues of violence against Black immigrant women and girls in Canada. And then we have Brenda Schwinkem. Brenda is the founder of the well-known Ankara clothing line called Melatep. Brenda has been instrumental in the development of African fashion in Canada since its inception. She is nominated in the Influence Award category for her impact and willingness to share her expertise on African fashion with her entire community. And then we have Neha Mogil. Neha is an active user of social media platforms such as YouTube and Instagram. She uses her platforms to connect with people from around the world and strives to create content that empowers and motivates others and encourages them to do the same. She has presented undivided dedication and commitment to organize community events such as fashion shows, galas that support a cause such as mental health awareness and cancer research. And in this category, we do have just a winner. And so here, let's just do it right now. Here is our winner. And our winner is Blessing Digga. Congratulations to you, Blessing. And now I am going to put you on stage to share a couple of words. Okay, let me just see what production is saying. Blessing is going to join us a little bit later. Okay, so we are going to move on to the next category, allowing Darlene and Blessing to join us after the next category, hopefully to share a couple of words. But I just wanted to say thank you and congratulations to Blessing as the winner of this category, and congratulations to all the nominees so far. All right, let's go. Next is the Leadership Award. The next category is the Leadership Award. Fun fact, this was the first award put together by Afropolitan Canada in 2018. The other categories came after over the years. And in this category, we also had one nomination. Eden Hagels is a leader in promoting the Black food industry in North America. Through her social media platforms, Eden has been front and center in promoting different dishes, showcasing the plurality of flavors from the African and Caribbean foods. When the pandemic hit, she redoubled efforts and supported many Black businesses affected by the lockdown and restrictions. She's a true force in the Canadian society, and she's also the only nominee in this category. So obviously, she is also the winner. So congratulations to you, Eden. I hope you are here. Let me see if you can come. Oh, there she is.
Hey.
Hi, congratulations.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I wanted to say thank you for creating this whole organization, this event. It's a a really great place for community. And I love the event in person last year, so I'm glad to be here on Zoom. So even though I was the only nominee, I appreciate you guys. And hopefully there'll be more to come. And I wanted to just say one quick thing before I go, because I know I'm known for talking about food, but I've been using my social platforms and just in general to speak out, because right now there is a genocide happening in Ethiopia, in Tigray. A lot of innocent people are being killed, and it's not getting the attention that it needs. So it's hard for me to talk about food while I know like my relatives are dying for no reason. So I wanted to put that out there, and all these women in here who are, you know, strong leaders in their community, just to know about this genocide and hopefully speak out.
Thank you so much, Eden. And you are absolutely right. One thing that we have to do better, I think, in my opinion, is to being more aware of the situations that are happening back home, especially the genocide happening right now. A couple of days ago, also in Senegal, there has been an uprising in Senegal, in Chad, and different places in Africa. So if not the media, I think we're powerful enough as a community to bring that attention to the rest of the world and then actually to take action. So thank you so much, Eden, for those words. Congratulations, because like we do know that you work hard and you deserve this recognition for your work here in Canada in the food industry. So congrats.
Thank you.
All right. All right. So before we move on to the Trailblazing Award category, I am being told that Darlene is here. So Darlene is the recipient of the Youth Leadership Award. So if Darlene is here, she can now come up on stage. Hi.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. This means so much to me to receive this award at only 20 years old. And thank you also for creating such an impactful and inspiring space for us young women to look up to and be inspired by.
Thank you. And then I know that you're bilingual, so you can also say it in French if you want to for our francophone audience.
Oh, of course, of course. Vraiment, merci à tout le monde d'être là. Merci de pouvoir me nominer pour ce prix. Je suis tellement ravie et honorée de recevoir ce prix à seulement 20 ans. Et je pense que ça m'inspire encore plus à créer plus d'impact et à réaliser de belles choses.
Ok, je te remercie et je te beaucoup de félicitations et continue de faire ce que tu fais dans ton leadership. On te regarde, on t'apprécie et on te supporte. Merci et puis à très bientôt.
À très bientôt.
Okay, and I'm also getting the signal that Blessing is here. So if she can come on stage. Hi, congratulations.
Hi. Thank you so much. Good afternoon. It's afternoon, yeah? Okay, yes. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is a wonderful way to start my new year. I turned 34 yesterday, so thank you so much. This is like the best birthday gift. I am extremely honored to be receiving this award. I'm earnestly grateful for the recognition on the work that I do. And I also appreciate and celebrate my co-nominees, Shakira, I hope I got that right, Brenda and Niha, who are also doing excellent work with their skills, voices, and platforms. So thank you so much once again to the Afropolitan Canada team. And I don't speak a lot of French, so I would just say merci. Thank you so much.
And happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. How are you planning on celebrating?
Well, I'm celebrating with you guys, so I think that's enough for me, to be honest. Thank you.
Thank you. And we're so happy, we're so proud, and keep pushing. We are uplifting you, positive energy. Thank you so much. And yeah, enjoy your birthday, Blessing. Thank you. All right, so last but not least of the categories, the Trailblazing Award category. In this category, we celebrate women who continue to break barriers in the workplace for gender equality, for representation on your local board of directors, who continue to challenge the status quo and being true allies for the marginalized communities. And in terms of the nominees, here are the nominees. So we have Stephanie Small. She is the head of Black Taxi, which is both an agency and an ecosystem that offer paid training to young Black talent in the marketing and event industry. She was awarded in 2020 by Google for her work on diversity for women in the industry. We have Nahila Gordon DeCiccio. Nahila has been one of the first two Canadians to be elected to represent the nation on the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council. She has designed, developed, and led programs and initiatives that address issues affecting Jamaican Canadian communities such as food security and mental health. We have Iman Mohamed. Iman is an ambassador for supporting vulnerable communities. She developed Skills for Changes employment program designed to educate and support professional newcomers to find employment within their fields. She has also been able to successfully support over 400 newcomers to find employment in Toronto as the Director of Services for the Somali Canadian Association of Etobicoke. And then we have Delisha Stelmach. She is the founder of We STEM Academy. Through her program, she provides access to programs that are not readily available to the Black community. And finally, we have Kayla Stevenson. Kayla is actively trying to break racial barriers within the mediation and adjudication fields. With her paralegal background, Kayla demonstrates her advocacy by volunteering in the legal field to find opportunities to learn and grow. She has decided to take a leap into pursuing and completing education to becoming a mediator, arbitrator, and adjudicator. That word is definitely not my favorite. And in this category, there is also a tie. We have two winners, and here are the winners. The winners for the Trailblazing Award categories are Delisha Stelmach and Iman Mohamed. I'm going to ask them to come now on stage to share a couple of words. Congratulations, ladies.
Thank you.
All right, let's start with Delisha.
It's just an honor to be here, especially beside Iman, a friend of mine. So just thank you for the acknowledgement and for taking the time to really, thank the people that are on the field and doing the hard work. We do it not for praise, but it's nice to get some acknowledgement. So thank you.
Amazing.
I also want to say I'm super excited and honored to receive this award, especially beside my good friend, Delisha. She does amazing work along with all of the other women who are nominated. They're super inspiring. And I just also want to take the time to say thank you to Afropolitan for all the work you do as well, especially when it comes to empowering the African and Caribbean community. It means a lot, and it's great to be recognized for our hard work.
Thank you, ladies. And thank you so much for the work you do. Congratulations. And I echo what Delisha, you said. It's sometimes we acknowledge that the work that you do is not often for recognition, but we also want to put the spotlight, right? Because we know that the work that is being done often in our community can just go under the radar. And it is really up to us to make sure that you are being seen. So I thank you so much for your work. I congratulate you and I wish you all the best. We are going to continue to work together. We have to build this community anyway. So thank you and congratulations again.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, so that concludes the award ceremony for the 2021 edition. So I just wanted to take the time to thank the evaluation committee made of Rokaya, Gay, Carrie Kwamen, and then Marfo Bansu, who took the time to evaluate these applications, as well as the nominators who nominated, the people they know for this year's event. And finally, once again, taking the time to thank Air Canada this year for helping us expand our reach to other provinces. Okay, so I think that we are moving on to a break now. We want to take this time to either network. Please use the chat box to ask your questions, to share your opinion about this event. Taking also the time to let you know that after this event, we will be going into 2 breakout sessions because the panels are happening. We have 2 or 3, I should say, amazing panels happening. The first panel will be on the financial freedom. The financial freedom panel will be led in English and in French. So just a couple of housekeeping notes here is those who are staying in the English panel led by Bayode Simpson, Cecilia Higgins, and Tembeka Pratt, please stay on this stage you're currently in. And those who are going to the French session, you will see a link in the public chat box. And you can just follow that link to have access to that panel that will be led by Faiza, Jamila, and Cassie. And so now I will let you go on your break. We have about 5-7 minutes, I believe. Use this opportunity to network and then share your opinion, share your Instagram, Facebook, whatever, and see you soon.
Open your microphone, please. Yvonne, open your microphone.
Sorry about that. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the show. We would be continuing this event with the Financial Freedom panel. I am going to be joined soon by Tambika and Biode Tambika. If they could join me. Hey, Tambika, how are you?
Tambeka, girl. But I'm good.
Hey, Tambeka, sorry about that.
That's
how
all
are
good.
you? How are you, Bae? How are you doing?
Good, very well, thank you.
Oh, can you? Oh,
You
it's a
guys can
little
hear me
hard.
fine, right?
I can hear you fine.
Okay,
Yes,
perfect.
yes. Would you try just speaking one more time, babe?
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Perfect. I'm just going to do a very, very quick introduction. So I'm joined by Tambeka. Tambeka is currently in the finance industry. She currently works with the financial institution, but she provides knowledge for women to gain financial confidence, and as well as Bae is a business coach. I will just hand it over to them to introduce themselves, and we will start the panel.
Who goes first?
Go ahead, Tambeka.
Okay. So, hi, everybody. I'm Tambeka. as Yvonne mentioned, I do work in the financial industry. I have done so for like 10 years. And I've held different roles. I've held roles on the retail side, client facing. But as of recently, when I moved to Toronto from Ottawa, I've now just been navigating the whole corporate side, which I've loved. But definitely on my spare time, I run a page called Rich Her, which you can find on Instagram. And basically on that page, I drop a lot of gems, like financial gems, tips, tricks for all my followers on there. And I also have some programming on there that I do just to help people navigate the financial space, because I know it's not an easy one. If you haven't been exposed to it, like some of us have in the industry. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Thank you so much, Tembeka. Go ahead, Faye.
Hi, everyone. I'm Bayadi Simpson. You can call me Faye, and I'm a business coach. So a couple of years ago, I launched the Entrepreneur's Nuke, which I'm now rebranding into just my name. And for me, coaching and starting a business came out of, a need, saying that women needed to get income. It went back to me being laid off 3 times over the course of my career. And so I tell everyone, having an extra source of income is no longer a nice to have, but it's an absolute necessity. And that's what I do by coaching women, empowering them, helping them with their mindset, because a lot of it starts and ends in the mind, whether we're able to move forward and really achieve the things that we want to do. So I help women their mindset and also helping them to get the results, usually monetary results that they want in order to live the lives that they would enjoy. And that's a little about me.
Thank you so much, Faye. Thank you so much for sharing. And we are also joined by Cecilia. Cecilia is a real estate broker. Go ahead, Cecilia, please introduce yourself.
Cecilia, please open your microphone.
Hi, guys. I'm Cecilia Higgins. I'm a real estate broker with iPro Realty. I've been doing that for about 12 years.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. We'll start off just to just share that we are about to get so much diverse knowledge from different areas. We have a real estate broker. There's a lot of people right now. I think a lot of people are looking to buy homes, or they're looking to see if it's even feasible for them to do so. Sorry, did someone say something? I'm just going to continue. And then we're also going to be learning from Tembeka to how to go about investing, or just having these conversations, or being confident, and then also a business coach as well. So we're going to be hearing a lot from these 3 women. So we're going to start off with Tembeka. What does financial freedom mean to you?
Financial freedom is just number one, especially for women, I would say, like, not having to rely on somebody else to be able to fund your lifestyle or just like your day-to-day livelihood. The more you know, the more you grow. And I can't stress enough, like when I was in the retail space, just seeing so many women that maybe left the finances to their spouse, or just always kind of like shied away from that area because they felt uncomfortable. And they really left themselves in some really vulnerable situations. So for me, financial freedom is just like having that knowledge and being able to just be free, literally. So, you know where your money's going, you know how to make your money work for you. You can invest in different areas that will enrich your life, like maybe real estate, or maybe even like a business, for example. Not having to rely on others to fund your dreams is 100% what financial freedom is to me.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. I feel like one thing that stood out from your response was just confidence, being able to know what would work and how to, go around the conversations. Because at times when you don't know anything, or when you don't have knowledge of something, you feel sort of like you have this setback, right? Like you mentioned, a lot of women, sometimes we are in that very uncomfortable situation where we're thinking, should we even speak? Do we even have anything to share? But She's Richer is helping empower women to have those conversations. So thank you so much for sharing that, Tembeka. I'll just move over to Bay. For you, what does financial freedom, because you mentioned how, being laid off a couple of times and then just seeing that there's that extra need to get residual income or to just have another source of income. I feel like you probably have a different view on what financial freedom means. So please go ahead.
Well, yeah, so I absolutely agree with everything that Tembeka mentioned. Financial freedom means a couple of things to me. First of all, it means not relying and not being dependent on one source of income. It also means building and leaving a legacy for my family, and most especially with everything that's going on. Financial freedom means me being able to use my dollars to represent causes and things that are near and dear to me. So that's what financial freedom is to me in a nutshell.
Nice. Thank you for sharing that. I loved just not depending on anyone, just being confident. I guess I'll end it off with Cecilia's response. For you, what does financial freedom mean, Cecilia?
For me, it's working because I want to, not because I need to. You know what I mean? Because if you want to be in the want to, you know what I mean? You don't want to be in the need, you have to work. So I'm working. So that's financial freedom to me. And Proverbs 13:22 is also where a good man leaves an inheritance for their children's children. That's important to me. So my daughters can pass wealth to their children as well. So generational wealth is very important to me.
I'm loving it. I'm loving it. Confidence, not depending, generational wealth, just not needing to work, but wanting to work just because then that's something that you're interested in doing, or not spending so much time, thinking, oh, should I or should I not? But you're confident. I want to work, not because I don't have money, but because I'm loving what I'm doing.
Exactly. Okay.
I would probably say, I guess to just move on to what's currently happening now with COVID-19 just sort of put a lot of people in this disarray with their finances, right? People are thinking, what should I do? And I think I was speaking with Tembeka earlier on about just the whole market right now. People are thinking, should I invest? Should I not invest? The whole GME, what is really going on? What would you say it has? What has it looked like for you with the current pandemic? Has it negatively impacted your finances, or do you find that you're still moving? You're still solid with everything. Maybe a few hits in there, but you're still okay. I'll start off with Tembeka.
Yeah, so I have to say the pandemic has actually done really well for my finances. I was working downtown Toronto. I was, surrounded by Starbucks all the time, and Eaton Center was just, a walkable distance. And I would window shop all the time and somehow end up with bags just because I wanted to go and look. But being home, it actually made me rethink, what do I actually need? I haven't gone shopping for clothes literally since last March. I'm able to just prioritize. I'm able to spend with purpose. Just honestly, my biggest wish is that people would have maybe taken this time to kind of do the same thing, refocus on what really matters and only spend money on things that are necessary. Because I can't tell you enough. There's so many people I see on Instagram. I mean, if you're an influencer, I guess that's your job and you have to keep buying things. But, I would see people, buying things from Fashion Nova, all this stuff. We get the emails, we see the sales, but we're not going anywhere. There's no parties to go to. There's no restaurants to go to. So I don't know why, people are still spending, but that's okay. You live and you learn. We do have a little bit more of this period where things are kind of closed and, you're not able to go out as much. So what I really urge people to do is really take the time to use this time to prioritize how they want to spend going further or going forward. Because once this thing ends, you don't want to keep making the mistakes that you did pre-COVID and you were wondering like why you were in that same situation. So a lot of time for me to reflect on my spending, also a lot of time for me to educate myself. Like I typically stay quite abreast with financial topics and just knowledge, but there was always something for me to learn. I've really stepped up my investing game, and I can see that through my portfolio as well. It has done amazing for me. So yeah, I've done pretty well during this period, I'd have to say.
I love to hear that. You just made the most and you made it work for you. And you talked about savings and just reassessing your finances to say, okay, what exactly, where have I been spending my money? And then for some people, right, that we're always spending every time they left their homes because they're currently at home, they're not seeing those opportunities anymore. So they're saving more money. So that's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. So I would say, like, Babe, for you, would you find that things changed? Like, do you still have your part-time job? Like, did you sort of like, did any major thing affect your finances so far?
Well, so I got into the pandemic as a new mom, so I was just navigating motherhood and just trying to figure out what it is like to be a mom. So I was on maternity leave, so that was great. But in terms of business, I actually launched a family business right in March, a photo booth business, right there and then. And so there was a lot of thinking outside the box. And luckily for me, the company that I purchased the booth from started to offer virtual photo booths. So where I couldn't get income from in-person events, I was able to get income from virtual events. I was able to provide photo booths for people all the way in Nigeria, where I'm originally from, and all over the world. So that was good for me. But in terms of my business coaching, it was really an eye-opening experience for me, because that's when I took a step back and decided that I was going to focus more on coaching instead of consulting, because I realized that I really wanted to make a difference in the lives of the women that I work with. And where I was just offering 90-minute sessions, and they would be pumped up and then go and not do the work. I decided, you know what, it's really important for me to see that there's accountability, and I hold these women's hands for as long as possible. So I actually created a 12-week coaching program during the pandemic, and that's all I offer now. And it's good. It's been good.
It's amazing. It's amazing. So I guess you made the most of the time that you had. You sort of like reassess like your offerings to say, okay, where are people like dropping off? Like all these people you consulted for, what are they really doing with the information? And you said, okay, let me build something that's more serving, where like, coaching them and walking through, the step by step. And you did this while, nursing a newborn. So wow, that's huge. Congrats on being a new mom. Miss Cecilia, would you say the current like market for real estate, like has that been negatively impacted? I do know a lot of people are saying that, a lot of my friends are saying that they're being offered to live in places for free or pay like little to no rent because of the current real estate market. What would you say to that?
Well, I know COVID-19 has been challenging for some and rewarding for others, right? And the real estate market has been extremely hot for me, and I have benefited from that significantly since the start of the pandemic. As a result, also the overheating market has made me have to go far for attend to my clients as far as Sarnia and Ottawa, wherever they can afford, right? So GTA prices have gone sky high, so people had to adapt and don't get stuck to a postal code or an area code and move out of town. And even for buying and even for renting, because even the rents have skyrocketed in the GTA. I haven't seen where people are getting low cost rent. I'm not sure about that. But in the real estate market where people are renting out their houses, and I rented a whole like a upper house just for $3,000, around there roughly. And also the basement is for 18 when basements used to be 700, now they're 15, 1,200. So I haven't seen where it's went down. It's just been extremely high. So yeah, I just adapted quickly to the change and just made things happen, right? So
would you say right now that this is the time for people to get into the market, or is there really a good or right time to get into the market?
I would say you get in when if you can afford to get in, if you can afford a mortgage payment, get in, because we're definitely not going to go back to the prices from 2009, right? So if you can afford a mortgage payment, then this is the right time to buy right now, right? Because
Yeah. And do you recommend, like, would you recommend probably having who should they have conversations with? Because a lot of people, they want to do it, they want to get into the market, they want to buy a home, they have all these plans, but they just don't know what the first step to take would be. What would you recommend?
Credit awareness is very important, your debt management and maintaining good credit, and also understanding if you can't, but if you can do it on yourself or you have to partner up with someone else to get in the game. That's one of the things as well. And sorry, what was your other question? What was your other question?
Yeah, you mentioned credit, like what are the next steps they should take? So they have this idea, they want to buy a home, but there's a lot of information out there that's floating that people don't really know what's true and what's not. So what would you recommend the first step? You mentioned credit awareness, and then after that, would you recommend they speak to someone?
Well, definitely a mortgage broker, right? I work with a few mortgage brokers, and they'll look at everything, the scenario with you, and see exactly what is needed to take you to the next step. We'll do a blueprint, a strategy too, because it's not cookie cutter for everybody, right? So when we meet with them, we're going to see what the situation is, and then decide the best next steps to take on that, right? So that's what I would say is that good mortgage broker, a good real estate broker, joining some real estate, if you want knowledge, joining some real estate. There's great real estate forums on Facebook, Black GTA, learning about stuff too on there as well is important. And getting some mentorship and just educating themselves and team with a great real estate broker like myself and others out there as well.
That's actually really great advice, right? Like you mentioned, forums, like being able to make sure that you're going to the right places to get this information, not just, going online or just seeing all these tweets, but actual forums that would speak to that, and then speaking to like a mortgage broker, like you mentioned. Thank you for sharing. I think another thing that most people are, sorry,
I was going to say a good one to join is Black Toronto GTA. It's a real estate forum for mortgages and about real estate in the GTA. That's a good
Black Toronto Forum. Is that a website or?
It's a Facebook group. So it's Black Toronto GTA Real Estate Community Support Group.
Okay, perfect. So another thing that most people, I guess, struggle with is just the finances, like the savings, right? Most people think, okay, where do I, how can I save up this money? There's the whole thing of a down payment. Would you recommend, what would you recommend in regards to them getting or finding that, saving up towards that?
Well, as I said, they always say pay yourself first before you get your paycheck. At least put away 10% or more of your paycheck away for yourself. But they also have the RSP programs as well. That for first-time home buyers, it used to be 25. I believe it's up to 35,000 per person, right? And that's also scenarios that they can use and leverage to get into their home. And basically they're saving monthly and then creating another income to save maybe. And I know we touched on multiple streams. Like I try to make my clients, when they're trying to save, if they have a friend that's a plumber or electrician or something to the sort, leverage and market them because they're not computer savvy. A lot of these rental people are not, renovate for them, right? Mm-hmm. And then let them and earn some money from that to help you as well as a side if your regular job is not helping you, right? So creating some little, I will say side hustles or different things to help you save so you can have your regular business to live and then you have your side business to save. And you can create income by using other people's businesses. There's a lot of small businesses that don't know how to use social media. You put them on social media, put your phone number there so they contact you, you refer it out, and you earn that extra money for you and yourself to start saving.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. You mentioned multiple streams, and that's I would probably have Babe talk about how to go about like leveraging or looking for opportunities in a second. But before we get there, I'll just speak to Tembeka about like investments right now, right? A lot of times people are like, okay, is it too early to get into the market? Should I actually get into the market to invest money so that I can save up enough to buy a house? Because a lot of people are thinking, okay, I have this much right now, but I don't have enough to put in a house. Should I put it in the market so that it can grow with time so that then I can buy a home? What would you say to that, like for Black women to learn about investments?
Yeah, so I just want to say it's never too late. Like the earlier you start, the better off. So if, anybody who's listening to this right now and they've been on the fence, like start. You're more than welcome to reach out to me on my page and get a sense of how to get that started for yourself. I would also say don't get too caught up in the hype. I think a lot of people online right now are talking about like stock market this and cryptocurrency this, and those are really great avenues to grow your investments. But you have to know what you're doing if you're going to be going into the stock market. There's some other products such as like mutual funds, for example, which are offered through the banks. They're a good way to start your investment journey. Also, there's robo investing. So Wealth Simple is a platform I love to use. They also, get you started investing just with like $1. So those are some things that I talk about on my platform because I really want people to know that it's never too late and it's not as difficult as you think. And yeah, just, read up on it as much as you can. Pages like mine and other people, they do offer some information for people that are not too savvy but want to get started. Don't just say, oh, it's not for me, and don't do anything about it. I meet with so many people that literally have like $30,000 in a basic savings account, which is not doing you any good. Inflation is what, 2%? And those savings accounts offer not even 1%, less than 1%. You're actually losing money year over year the longer that you hold it in just like a basic savings account or even a checking account, right? So for those people that do have the money, like, between, I would say, anything over 10K, you definitely want to look at putting that in something that will grow more so that you get to your goals a lot faster. If you are close to the point where you're ready to buy a home and that down payment money is ready, I wouldn't suggest investing that money if you're only going to pull it out within a year to go put towards a down payment. A lot of people think that when you put your money into the stock market, it's like, okay, I'll quadruple my money in a few months. And that's really unrealistic for you to think that, especially if you're a beginner. So if you are close to that time where you're going to be buying a house, I wouldn't really necessarily advise investing those funds, but still invest nonetheless. If you're somebody like me who plans to buy in, 3 to 5 years, investments would be great to really get that growing over time.
Thank you for sharing, Tembeka. You mentioned long-term is key, like when you have that understanding, and it's never too late, right? Because a lot of people think, oh, it's already too late, like I missed this. And it's always the hype that sort of like catches people's attention, right? Because I do know sometimes people are like, oh, I need to start trading. Why? Oh, because they heard something on the internet. No, that's not what you're supposed to do. But what you mentioned was making sure that you get the knowledge, right? Because a lot of people think I have a savings account. I have a high interest savings account. Just because it's called a high interest savings account does not actually mean that it's high yielding, right? And one thing you mentioned was inflation rate is like 2%. And in most of these savings accounts, if you actually know and find out what the interest rates are, they're a little under 1%. So it's wise to make sure that the money that you're putting in and you're leaving for time and time again in the bank is actually gaining something, right? So thank you for sharing that. So Bay, I would say, like, can you share on side hustles? Because when we spoke, you shared about like how you started. You started with a company, and you've always been, starting something, right? And I think it's when do you actually stop starting, or like when do you stop, looking for ideas and having these ideas, or what do you think people should start, building right now? Like, what do you think creating or starting a business of? What should people actually start looking into?
Well, I'll say for now is leveraging your knowledge or your skills or your passions right now. What can you monetize without having to, go take a course or, put out a lot of money. So the example I usually give is, for example, for those that are working 9 to 5, how can you leverage some of the skills that come to you, that you don't think too much about, but other people can use. For example, if you're creating presentations at work all the time, PowerPoint presentations, that's definitely a skill that you can monetize by, helping business owners who are giving presentations, webinars, workshops. Everyone is pretty much showing up online. So how can you leverage your PowerPoint or presentation skills in a way that you can provide it as a service to those who struggle with it? So you can have, for example, standard templates that you create that, are off the shelf products that you can sell versus, customized templates where you actually sit down with a client and you create a customized template for them. So I would say it's, thinking about, what do you have? What is it that people have said you do really well, you're good at, or people have even asked you, how much you charge for it and you're currently not charging for it, will be the first thing I will say is look at what you can do right now with the skills that you have. In terms of, monetizing other things, like if it's not knowledge you currently have, I would say focus on just one thing. I know that a lot of people are multi-passionate and they want to learn this, that, everything at the same time. So I would say start small, start by learning one thing, get really good at it, then add something else. Is what I will say. Did I answer your question, sir?
Yes, you did. Yes, you did really well. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I think we're going to be ending off soon, but I wanted to just ask, one person can pick this up. How can we, because a lot of people are afraid, a lot of women, a lot of Black women are afraid to either start a business or to either start, get into the housing market or to even start investing. How do we address these fears that, because they're real, right? Because sometimes people just think, oh, like, that's a stupid question, I shouldn't ask, or no, I shouldn't bother. But how do we say, okay, speak to this fear and this is what is holding you back and this is how you can move forward from it?
I'll just say quickly, social media is amazing. So start there for sure. YouTube, Instagram, those are your best friends to get started. I'll just say that.
Oh,
education and mentorship is very good to overcome fear as well. Having good mentors in your life, very helpful. First step.
Wow, thank you for that. How about you, Bailey? Do you have any advice?
Yeah, so I will say that, fear is really real, but what sets people apart is like, just putting that fear aside and really, going for it and thinking like, what's the worst that could happen? And understand that you can use those failures as learning experiences. So, really focus on what you really want to do and let that why motivate you to go forward. Like the other speakers have said, get research, get a mentor. I tell people, like, even if there's somebody that you feel like is so far away from you that you really admire and is where you want to be, just follow them on social media or read their books, consume all their free content, and learn from them. You don't have to be like facing them to really learn from them. So, just go out there, pick a mentor and learn from them, follow them, read their books is what I would say. But, the thing with fear is it's always going to be there. Honestly, I don't think it goes away. Anyway, for me, it doesn't go away, but it's, putting it aside because where you're heading to is far more important than the fear. So like putting that aside and then just doing it anyway.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for that. That's actually really great advice. We do have a couple of minutes more. If the audience watching, if they have any questions for our panelists, please go ahead and share them now. In the meantime, I would just love to hear from Tembeka, like any success stories, or what would you say that, women are sort of like getting from She's Richer? Like, how are women feeling more confident, and how is that, inspiring you and pushing you to keep serving these women?
Yeah, so I found like when I first started the page, people were loving the content, but like not really asking many questions. But I knew the questions were there. Like for a fact, I knew there were questions. So I started this thing where it's Finance Fridays. And basically I open up like my page and people can ask me any financial question, doesn't matter how silly they think it is. I'll answer it. It's anonymous. Their page won't be put on there, or their face won't be put on there. So I think like my page has helped people realize that no question is a stupid question. Like I was telling you before, Yvonne, I think we were discussing this. People didn't know that they can have multiple savings accounts. Like they thought they could just have like one checking and one savings. And I'm like, no. Like I personally have like 5 savings accounts. That I use to kind of separate out my savings. I have more than one checking account so I can separate the money that I'm getting. So I think I'm breaking, or I hope that I'm breaking down that fear of like asking questions. And secondly, I would say definitely investing. I'm like a big advocate on sharing with people that investing is not just the stock market. Like there are so many other ways to invest, especially as what do you call it? Social media, not social media, sorry, but fintech evolves. And the banking world is shifting now, right? Like initially the banking world was suited to baby boomer generation. They didn't like to do things online. Like they liked going in the branch and sitting beside somebody and getting that advice. Now, like millennials are taking over, and banks are realizing like, oh, okay, like we need to reach out to our clients in another way that serves them, which is like internet-based services and stuff like that. So I've mentioned them before. Well, Simple, they are not paying me, but I just really love their whole like, you know, just brand and just the way they market to millennials. You can literally start investing with $1. Like, again, you can follow me on my page, and I have a program called the Confident Investor, which I'll be launching quite soon in the spring. But it's just to break down those misconceptions about investing and it being scary or anything like that. So I think asking questions, they are not stupid questions. And secondly, understanding that investing is not, you know, a bunch of guys sitting around a computer and day trading and losing thousands of money every day. Like that's not the reality of investing.
Wow, that's actually really, and I'm actually going to be looking forward to that workshop when you share it.
Yes.
I have a question for Cecilia. What would you say right now, like, you know, women are currently, Black women are currently, you know, struggling with the most when it comes to real estate lending or real estate, like the markets? What would you say, and what would you say to that? Like, how can we go beyond that obstacle?
Well, I'm not, wait, are you just saying single women or just women in general? Like some women that have their support of their husband, or are you just dealing with single Black women, are you saying?
I say you can share on both single Black women and women who are Black women who are married as well.
Yes, because I know, because you know, with the mortgage, the stress test, what I had to like get the most Black women clients that I have is don't get stuck to an area code or a postal code. Move where you can afford. Start somewhere, move out far. Even if you know you can't qualify for the 600 because you don't have that other partner, a friend to buy with. If you can partner up with somebody, someone lives upstairs, someone lives downstairs, and then until you guys reach a level of equity builds, then you go your separate ways. Don't be scared to partner up when need to, right? So that's what I would say when they need to do that. And also, just if you can only, because I had a client, she had to go all the way to Sarnia because she can't afford anything in the GTA. Now her mortgage is going to be less than what she's paying for rent. Her rent was higher in the GTA, and now she's going out and now she has a mortgage, and she's going to have. That's what she's going to do for now. You know what I mean? And then she'll eventually come back to the city, hopefully, when or she has enough equity or she pays off for her house and so on. So just go where you can afford and don't be scared to think, you know, just get in. If you don't want to live in it, rent it out. You know what I mean? Maybe, you know, it's an investment, and I would say, you know, create a second income or a better first one, right? So your real estate, that can be your partner, you know, multiple, like you say, you have multiple streams of income. Your real estate is one of your partners that's going to help you in retirement, help you when you need money, when you don't have no one to turn to, but you have your real estate to turn to have that extra income, right? To do, like I said, rent is forever. Mortgages is only for 25 to 30 years, right? So keep that in mind when you're thinking like, you know what, they buy that, you know, that it's only 25 years you're going to have to pay a mortgage for. And with the rent market going, it's not going to have a problem having people to rent your house. It's not going to be an issue. Turn it into a rooming house if you want an extra income. You know, you have 3-4 bedrooms, rent it to just females if you don't feel comfortable renting it to a man. You know what I mean? and you have your house that will help you with your paying your mortgage. Don't be scared to come out of your comfort zone if you're by yourself. Just, find friends, find like-minded people to work together with to get into the market, because it's all about credit, right? I believe credit runs your country. You know what I mean? More than just your, we're all Black women. You want to get, if you have good credit, a lot of doors can open to you, right?
Thank you for that. On the topic of credit, Georgia dropped a question in the comments. She says, when it comes to credit scores, what are the banks looking for?
680 and up. Oh, sorry. Is that me you're asking? Sorry.
Yes. Go ahead.
Yeah, so 680 and up, they prefer 680 and up credit score, right? We have private lenders that are looking for 650 and up as well, right? And if you're putting the more money you put down, then there's a little bit more opportunity, but first 650 and up to really get you into something, to getting a mortgage.
You mentioned credit awareness, and I think it's like we know now. Okay, this the range that you should fall between 650, 680 and above, right? What would you say? Because a lot of people, I believe, sometimes don't understand, and they don't even know that most of the things that they're doing are actually negatively impacting their credit. Like they think, oh, it's just a credit card, or oh, it's just a phone line, or oh, I'm just doing this, and they just forget that this is negatively impacting you, because Canada, like you said, it's a credit country. It works on credit. So what would you say credit awareness means, and how can people, because I know it's a question that like an elephant in the room, right? I have bad credit, how can I fix it? You may not know, but if you have any tips on that, what does credit awareness mean, and how can people like with bad credit or credit under 650, or how can they sort of like work their way towards building it?
So two things. I have mortgage brokers that will take the time and help clients to build their credit, look at their credit, even if their credit score is 500, 400. Everyone has to start somewhere. I don't turn away nobody. I go, this is where you are. Let's figure out how to get you up higher. Right? How can we create income to help you pay? If your job alone is not helping, but we need to look at it and dissect it and see how we can fix it. This is going to come off in 1 year. Don't touch that one. Let's wait for touch these ones, work on this, call, make a settle. Like there's different scenarios for different people, right? Sometimes, some people wasn't even that they lend somebody their credit, right? And they co-sign for somebody. Don't co-sign for anybody if you don't need to, because that affects your credit. Because sometimes people co-sign for a car now when they're ready to buy, they can't buy the house that they want because now their debt level is too high, right? So understanding those things. And I have a lady that I work with, Monique, that she does credit repairs. I have clients with her right now, and she's working on building back their credit to where it needs to be, because she's the only one I see on social media for Canadians, right? A lot of them are, when you go credit bill, it's all Americans. So I know I partner with her. I have my mortgage, but look at her credit. I go, I know she can't buy today. Look at her credit, dissect it, tell me what she needs to do to put herself in the position, even if it's 1 year from now, year and a half, at least put her in a position. And then I'll find out, okay, do you have enough income to afford to pay these off? Not, okay, let's try. Do you know a plumber? Do you know somebody else that you can make extra money with to pay off this debt? So when that money comes in, you pay off this. So we make a plan, a blueprint, a scenario to get your credit to where it needs to be. But even if it takes long, just keep working on it. If you don't start somewhere, it's never going to change, right? So you got to start where it is at. So don't be scared. So I look at everybody's credit. I've seen, 400 scores. I've seen 800 scores, but no matter what, I still try to help you because you'll be a client in the future. And then I will put my reminders on my phone to make sure that they call them in 6 months to see if they were able to pay off that debt, right? And so on. And they have family members that they might be nice enough to say they might have a line of credit. If they're pending, we'll help them out and let them pay it off so they can buy. And then also they can be on the property. You help me build my credit so I can be in a position to buy. You know what I mean? I'll put you on ownership of 25% of my house when I buy. You know what I mean? You just have to figure out a scenario on leveraging family members that do have a lot of money and how they will give them an incentive to want to help you, right? You're going to be a part-time investor, right? I don't know. Different scenario.
Yeah, no, I loved everything you said. And I feel like a lot of people are actually ready to message you right away, because you talked about building, like coming up with a structure and how to reset your credit, or how to make sure your credit, you can get your credit back. And that's what a lot of people need right now. That's what a lot of people actually need, because COVID came and then you've been spending more, using more credit, and now it's the time, like, okay, things are sort of like getting back to normal in a sense. So how like, this is what we need. We need like that structure, and we need plans.
That foundation.
Exactly. So I feel like once we're in a few minutes, I'll probably ask you to share your details so that people can connect with you and get all of this advice. Kayla's asking about, and I feel like I'm gonna just have they answer this question. It ties a little bit to credit. She goes, where do you suggest someone to start looking, to start for when looking for a lender for a small business? So for your small business, did you get credit to run it, to start it? Where would you recommend people to look?
Well, if all else fails and your rich aunt or rich uncle is not able to sponsor you, I would look into grants that are available. There are lots of grants that are out there, government grants, private grants that we don't know about, or we don't go looking for before you actually hit the big banks. I would say check out the grants and check out the credit unions as well, because most of them have lower interest rates than the banks. So that's what I would say in terms of looking for a lender to start a small business.
Okay, that's actually decent. You mentioned, because I feel like a lot of the women as well, they're not, because I did read somewhere, correct me if I'm wrong, that some of the grants or the like funding that's available, they require you to either be a permanent resident or a Canadian. Is that the case for some of the private grants, or do you find that you could just apply for it as long as you have a business in Canada?
You're right that a lot of them require residency in Canada, but also that's where partnership comes up, where if you don't have the residency requirements, then you can partner with someone who is a permanent resident or a citizen, and you both can present yourselves before the lender or the institution provided the grant to qualify for the grant.
Okay, that's actually amazing. Brenda in the audience said that she's personally worked with Credit Counseling Society of Canada. I didn't know they actually had one, so that's amazing. Does anyone know about the Credit Counseling Society of Canada? Any of the panelists?
I've heard of them. I've definitely heard of them, and I think what they'll do is they'll, just like Cecilia was saying, like they'll build a plan for you. They'll really take a look at your credit bureau and see what things are coming up sooner than the other ones, and then they'll have you attack those ones first. In some cases, and like this is just, I had one person say like, can I just file for bankruptcy? And I was like, no, don't do that. Do not do that. So they will just show you how to work at it rather than just taking like an easy way out and filing for bankruptcy, which I don't advise anybody do.
Wow, that's like, I'm so glad Brenda shared that. Thank you for sharing, Brenda. And she mentioned that you don't have to pay anything up front, so it's a free service, which is amazing. And now a lot of people know about it, because I didn't even know about it. Now I'm going to share with my friends. I believe Cecilia, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I don't recommend if you're going to be buying bankruptcy at all, but I know sometimes if you're a married couple and one has to do it and the other one keeps the good credit, maybe that's the only time I would recommend. If that's just, I'm not a credit counselor or anything like that. I'm just my personal opinion on that. Yes. If you're married and one may do it and the other one keeps it good, and at least that release the debt that they don't have so much. That's the only time, but definitely someone, I don't know. I never heard of Credit Council of Canada. I'll look into it, but I just don't like some of those companies that push to go to debt consolidation and bankruptcy. I don't like when they push you to there first. If that's the only option, then maybe, but I'll check that one.
Yeah, and actually, just to touch on what you said, like not relating to Counseling Society of Canada, but just things you can do. Like a lot of people don't know, for example, lines of credits are great for consolidating debt. Credit cards are 20%. Lines of credits, depending on your credit score, obviously, but I haven't really seen a line of credit interest rate that's more than 10%. So if you have a line of credit that you're not using, or you are pre-approved for a line of credit that you've just been like, oh, I don't want to take it just because I don't want to take it. If you're having trouble with credit card debt, I would suggest moving some of that credit card debt onto a line of credit at a lower interest rate. And also make sure that you're not owing more than 30% of your total credit limit. So if your credit card limit is $1,000, try to stay like at 300 or less. When you start exceeding, they say 30 to 50%. I just say 30 just because it's lower, but try and not exceed your, try not to owe more than 50% of your total credit limit. That small things like that, they also can really help when it comes to your credit score.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I actually loved that response. And I think it's so key that people actually know that in regards to credit cards, credit lines are better than credit cards because of the interest rate. A lot of people are like, oh, I'm just going to get a credit card. But you're like, oh, no, I don't want it. I'm like, oh, okay. So, but, but this power you mentioned, credit lines have almost half of the interest rates of credit cards, right? Credit cards, the reason why they're so exciting is because it's easily accessible. You can take it, you can gain cash back from it, but there's no harm. Like, I feel like if you're ever pre-approved for a credit line, definitely take it. So thank you for sharing that, Tameka. One question I would have for Bay is in regards to savings, right? Like, you like, for a business idea, you have a business idea, right? And you're like, I've already saved up this much money and I just wanted to save it just for a rainy day, but I have this business idea that's going to require me to, put in money, and I don't qualify for some grants right now. Is it advisable to do that? Do you recommend probably them starting small, testing out the idea to see if it works before, investing in it, investing their savings in it?
Absolutely. It's always good to start small. It's always good to test the waters first before you go full throttle, especially if you're putting out, your savings, money that you save. So you want to make sure that you, first of all, what's it called? Proof of concept. So you go out there and then you share your business idea, get feelers for what people want, and start small, So if you have, all that money saved up, start with a certain percentage of it instead of throwing everything into it, because you want to make sure that your business idea is viable, that there is a need for it, and that you'll be able to monetize that business and make a profit.
I love that. I love that advice. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. And last question on credit. So this one is for Rebecca. So I have investments, and my investments, say for instance, my investments are returning maybe 9%. Like, I'm having like a 9% monthly return on this investment, but then I end up having credit card debt. And the credit card debt, maybe it's like half of my current investment, and I don't want to like lose it. So what would you say to people right now who currently have investments or savings, and they have a credit card or some sort of debt that is sort of like sinking down their credit? Would you recommend they take out money from the investment and pay it off, or would you recommend they switch to a loan and pay it gradually? What would you say to that?
Yeah, so there's a couple factors. Like, there's not like one blanket answer. First of all, depends on where's the money tied up. So let's say you have it all in RSPs. I absolutely don't suggest that, because when you withdraw from RSPs, you're you have withholding tax, and then you're also taxed again come tax time, because that money you took out is now taxable, right? So it just gets very expensive. The other thing I would say is the interest rate of the debt, right? I have people that have student loans that are like, oh, I just want to take all my savings and pay off the student loans. And I'm like, okay, but wait, student loans are like 5%, number one. Number two, a lot of people don't know this, but student loans, the interest that you accrue, you can actually put that towards your taxes as well. There's no other credit product that you can actually use the tax that you, or the interest that you earned, that you were charged, and put that towards your taxes. So like, that's a situation where I say, don't do that, right? What I will say though is if you're holding like credit card debt, for example, and you have like a 5% or more interest bearing investment, that 20%, it's costing you an extra 20 cents per dollar that you have on that credit card, right? And then your investment, it's earning you five cents on every dollar. At that point, like your debt is like crushing any gains that you would have gotten on your investment. So you kind of have to look at things like holistically in that way. I don't ever like tell anybody to wipe out their savings to be able to pay off debt. Definitely look at it like, okay, if I have like $10,000 saved and I have, a couple $1,000s in credit card debt, maybe take half of the savings and put it towards debt. Do not wipe out your emergency savings. There's one thing that I shared on my page, and it was like, if you have zero savings after you clear off your debt, you're still like in debt, because what's going to happen when you have an emergency or something come up, you're going to use your credit card now because you have no savings, right? And it's just going to be this like vicious cycle. You have no savings, you use your credit card, then you have the credit card debt. You now have to start digging into other money to pay that off. So definitely like always make sure that you have savings there. But try and tackle that debt as much as you can, because it's just eating away from your profits if you don't. So yeah, that's a simple answer.
That was a very, full answer. I was listening. I was like, okay, it's true. Most people don't look at what's happening behind the scenes with what you're gaining and what you're actually losing, like holistic. So thank you for sharing that, Tembeka. And I'm just going to round us off. I'll just have, starting from Tembeka, then Cecilia, then Bay. Please go ahead and share where we can connect with you online. If you have any current ongoing workshops you think we need to take advantage of, please go ahead and share that.
Yeah, so thanks guys for tuning in. My name is Tembeka. You can find me at she's.richer. That's where you'll find the Richer page. I am releasing a couple of programs this spring. One is the Money System Workshop, which is my no budget budgeting system that I developed for myself. So that's coming up. I have the Confident Investor, which is a really good program for beginner investors. And then I also have a foundational financial course. Coming up with the name still, I want something a little bit like, catchy. So that one is a refresh of a previous course I launched last year. So there's going to be, like those 3 services coming out. I also have financial facelifts, which are my one-on-one consultation service as well. So you can find all of that on the Richer page, or send me a quick DM to introduce yourself and we can see which one suits you best.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Tembeka. Go ahead, Cecilia.
Okay, so I'm on Instagram as Cecilia Higgins, and I'm also on Facebook as Cecilia Higgins, and LinkedIn as Cecilia Higgins. So yes, and I don't know if you can contact me. I guess you can DM me, and my cell. I don't know if I give it out on here, but my cell phone number is the best way to reach me as well. That's it for social media. But I want to say something earlier, just what Bay was saying. All you guys that are women on here, well, we're all women here. They have a great program with BDC that had something for women. Low score is a low 600, and they'll help you to leverage your bill. All you can do that. Check it out as well, right?
BDC?
But BDC. It's a government program that lends money. And they also have a women's program there. Even if your credit is not that high, they want to help women. So they have a women's program in BDC to help you launch your business as well. So just want to mention that. But anywhere, Cecilia Higgins, message me anywhere on social media and I'll return your call and send you my cell number to call me.
Amazing. Thank you, Cecilia. Go ahead, Babe.
Thanks for that. You can find me on Instagram. I hang out a lot on Instagram at Bayadi Simpson. I also hang out on LinkedIn at Bayadi Simpson as well. And feel free to send me a DM. I love getting messages and I'll respond to you through the DM with whatever information you want that I can help you with.
Amazing. Perfect. Thank you so much, ladies. This has been enriching and insightful. I'm sure our audience as well, they've learned so much from this conversation. And like you shared where you can reach out, where people can reach out to you, please go ahead and connect with these ladies and get your finance facelift. I just stole that from Temecula.
It's all good, girl.
I feel empowered. I feel like we're going to be making like, you know, decisions. Because one thing I don't want is when we hear all these things, like, you know, they had mentioned people were not just, you know, doing afterwards. So please, please, please let us not be the end of this, you know, change that you're trying to attain. Move with it, connect with these ladies, and just get the work going. Thank you again, everyone. So we're going to be taking a break, I believe, for maybe a 10-minute break, and then we will be coming back for the last panel on this stage. All right.
Thank you. Commercial and residential real estate.
Perfect. BDC. Okay. Thank you.
No, Cecilia. Commercial or residential real estate. Both real estate I help people with. Commercial and residential. Okay.
Okay. Perfect. So businesses as corporate, and then and personal.
So if they're doing commercial, if they want a unit for their business, I can help them find a unit for their business or storefront as well.
Good to know. Good to know.
Nice. Thank you. All right then. All right. Have a great night, ladies.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Welcome back for the last part, the last segment of this event, of this fourth edition of the Women of Diversity Summit and Award. I hope that you enjoyed the financial freedom panel that you had in English and also in French. I hope that you get all the information that you think you need to thrive financially. And so now we're going to jump into the second panel of this event. This year, we just really wanted to focus on the financial freedom, but also the well-being in the midst of COVID-19, how to make sure that we do take care of ourselves, body, soul, and mind. And to moderate, I should say, this panel, I have my two peers with whom I work at Afropolitan Canada. So I have Fatou Jameh, and who is, by the way, in Kenya right now. And then I have Fatima Diallo, who also is in Alberta. So to you, ladies, thank you, and you can take.
Thank you so much, Kelly. What an exciting day it has been. I've been watching it backstage and doing this event for the second time. It's always such a pleasure to do it. So as Kelly said, greetings from Nairobi. We're right now 9:35 p.m. So excited to do this at this time. I guess I'll allow Fatima to introduce herself as well, and then we can go ahead and start with the panel. Fatma, you're on mute.
Yes, hi everyone. My name is Fatma. I am the program coordinator at Afropolitan Canada, and I work with we spend a lot of time working with Fatou to do this event a success. Yes, me, I am from Calgary. Yeah, so we have 2 hours different between here and Ontario. Yes. So thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you, Fatma. Perfect. It seems like I'm echoing a little bit. Okay, much better. So as Kelly said, this year has really been, not this year as well, but 2020 has really been turbulent for a lot of us. We've had to really think about what self-care is, what is our well-being was really tested out at this current moment. We really had to sit down and reflect about our surroundings. The pandemic really tested us out in different ways. So we wanted to highlight and talk about different mechanisms within our communities and how we can basically use mechanisms to make sure that we're okay and that we're taking care of ourselves. So for this panel, we have 4 amazing ladies. We have Dr. Catherine Newry, who's a licensed naturopathic doctor, Chanda, and then we have next Chanda Lala, apologies, who's a social worker. Then we have Andrea Bomo, who's a certified holistic health coach, and then Julia Leacock, who's a content strategist, copywriter, and ghostwriter. So welcome, ladies. You're looking all fabulous.
Hi.
Hi. If you all can just introduce yourself. So on my screen right now I have Chanda. So if you can go ahead, if you can just tell us a little bit about yourself, something interesting, and we'll dive right into the panel.
Sure. My name is Chanda Chandalala. I am a registered social service worker. I've been working with Canadian Mental Health Association for about 10 years. I've recently transitioned to the University of Toronto Scarborough, where I support students as a student welfare case coordinator. Something interesting about me, I'm a writer.
Look at that. Look at you. I'm jealous. We'll go on over to our next writer, Talia. If you can just introduce yourself and something interesting about yourself.
Of course. My name is Talia Leacock. I am a full-time entrepreneur. I own and operate a boutique content agency called Word Count Creative. And outside of that, I am a self-care enthusiast, which is kind of by necessity. Running a business takes a lot out of you, and I've had to learn over the years how to prioritize my well-being as well as my income. And so that has become a real passion for me, and encouraging especially other Black women to pursue self-care selfishly and unapologetically. And something interesting about me, I describe myself as a soca enthusiast. I was born in Barbados, and nothing brings me more joy than soca music.
Yes, I've seen it all over your social media. Now, over to you, Andrea. Je sais que tu es bilingue, alors si tu veux t'introduire en français, vas-y.
Okay, my name is Andrea, and I'm a herbalist. I'm a holistic health coach and the founder of Ann and Ellie Apothecary. And what I do is I help women find natural remedies and solutions for their different issues, ranging from period problems to postpartum. And one interesting about me is I have lived in all continents, and I'm a mom of 2 little girls. So that's it.
Look at you. You couldn't tell. You look not at past 25.
Yeah, I don't look like I don't sleep a lot. Yeah.
Excellent. Now over to you, Dr. Catherine.
Hi, I'm Dr. Kathleen Muri, and I'm a licensed naturopathic doctor. I practice physically out of Toronto, but am offering virtual services across Ontario. And I really am a strong advocate for health education, and I'm constantly working to teach my patients about how their bodies work, because I'm really passionate about people understanding that. I work primarily with women and women's health, helping women with heavy, painful periods, irregular periods, to regulate their cycles naturally.
Wow.
Oh, and another thing about me, I love to salsa dance.
Love it, love it. I may need to come to you for some tips about navigating naturopath. But to start us off, I guess the first question to jump us right in is, so actually I'll start off with you, Dr. Catherine. So 2020 was a challenging year. What did well-being mean to you in 2020? And how are things going in 2021 this year?
Yes, 2020, wow. I think, some of the things I really noticed with my patients and even for myself was 2020 really showed us a few things, being one, learning how to take pause, learning how to rest. The next thing I think that was really important was learning how to pivot, building resilience, learning to accept change. I think 2020 was a great time for introspection, learning about yourself, and accepting the things that you cannot change, and finding new ways to build yourself up and kind of change the way you think about yourself. I think oftentimes we may associate our self-worth and our self-being with what it is that we do, our jobs, our careers, and that sort of thing. And maybe learning to step back and value ourselves on our own for who we are and who we offer. And yeah, there was a lot of opportunity for learning and in 2020, despite the challenges that came along with the year. And I think 2021 is just about growing from there and what you can do and learn from there.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, Dr. Catherine. So on to you, Andrea, the same question. 2020, what did you mean in 2020, and now what is it in 2021? Did you hear me, Andrea?
I think I'm having some issues. I can hear you now. Okay, so the question was to me?
Yes.
Okay.
Same question for you. No worries.
Okay. So for me, well-being was really a form of survival in 2020. I think it was the only thing I could control in my life because of everything that was happening in the world, but also in my personal life. It was a very tough year. So being intentional about taking care of myself really helped me survive and stay healthy, not only for myself, but also for my girls and the people, the women that I work with. And I really see wellness and well-being as a form of discipline. I have to be very disciplined about it. I have to see it as something in my to-do list. Otherwise, I don't make time for it, and it's very important for me to implement it. Even to this day, I have days where I don't work. I don't work because this is the day where I am resting. And before, I didn't have that. As an entrepreneur, you are always working on your business. You don't really have, work hours. You work all the time. So yeah, it was really an awakening for me. Self-care is not just about being cute. It's also about looking at your emotional wellness, at your trauma, and being intentional about finding solutions.
Thank you, Andrea. You dropped so many gems about like being survival and just that taking time to rest. I think that's a critical point that we need to all just keep in mind. I guess over to you, Celia. What did 2020 look like for you in 2020?
It was a unique challenge for me. At the beginning of quarantine, I thought, okay, well, I've got this handled because I've been working from home for the past 3 years and I know what I'm doing and I can totally do this. And then the reality became that I had to acknowledge that so much of how I balanced my life was that leaving home was leaving the office, going out with friends and going out dancing and just being able to socialize and travel outside of home, how I created that balance in my life, and that suddenly wasn't there anymore. And like Dr. Catherine said, it became about intentionality, making sure that I didn't just think that self-care was going to happen just because. I had to really take the time to prioritize it, to find activities that I could do at home, to find ways to build community at home. So, doing Zoom calls with my girlfriends or, finding those little online dance parties, anything that would allow me to sort of replicate the things I counted on outside of the home inside. So it was intentionality and flexibility, realizing that what I normally leaned on wasn't always available, and I had to be open to other ways of taking care of myself.
Thank you, Talia. Thank you. So over to you, Chanda.
I think everything that all the other panelists said really resonated with me. 2020 was an incredibly difficult year for me. The racial injustice really broke me, and I could feel the weight of it in my body. And that, coupled with the pandemic, I had a close friend pass away due to complications related to COVID-19. So I was carrying a lot during 2020. And as a writer, I channeled that grief and that rage into my writing. I have a blog. And so I did that. I started meditating a lot more. I found that prior to 2020, I was kind of using it as, one of those weekend things. And 2020 and this year as well has made me more intentional about it. And like Andrea said, that self-care is not cute, and it's not a weekend thing, it's not a vacation thing, but it's a daily practice. And so I try to meditate at least 4 to 5 times a week. It really allows me to step away from my work and step away from, things that are going on, step away from my home life to just have some time for myself. I really pay attention to my body and what I'm feeling in the moment. And if I don't feel a certain way, then I pause and I try to explore that. And that's something that I continue to do.
Thank you, Chanda. Thank you for closing us off on that question about really taking time to reflect and just chilling, for sure. Fatma?
All right. Yes. For the next question, we know that Canada is a is a melting pot, and different communities have different ways of talking about mental health. Miss Shanda, as a social worker, I know that you are specialized in mental health. So I would like to ask, what are the different mechanisms for Black women and women of color to seek help during COVID-19?
So there are a lot of great resources out there. I think social media has done a phenomenal job. I think since the pandemic hit, there are a lot of wonderful wellness folks on Instagram, for example, psychotherapists. There are a few that I follow, like Nedra Tawwab and Tima, Debbie Brown, who just are really wonderful at sharing some of their knowledge and wellness tips. I think also in terms of in Toronto, there's a lot of Women's Health and Women's Hands is a great resource, as well as other community organizations like Taibu. There are also phone therapists, so there's a lot out there. If you just look, there's a wonderful Black therapy list that I recently discovered sometime last year. So if people are aware of that, they can utilize that as well.
Okay, thanks for sharing. Dr. Neri, I will ask you, do you have any tips that you can share with us about the different mechanisms for Black women to seek help during COVID-19? You're on mute.
Thank you. I was just going to say, I'm going to piggyback on what Shanda was saying, that there are a lot of great resources out there. And I think one of the biggest things is, if you're not necessarily going to speak with a therapist, then finding community is really important for your mental health, especially in this time where we're not able to, physically get together. Being able to find a platform where you can ask questions, receive, some advice, and have a voice to kind of, share what's going on in your world is really important. Obviously, I would recommend speaking with a professional in some way, but I think that finding community is really important for your mental health.
Thank you. Andrea, I know you speak French. I don't know if you can share with us some tips for French audience. You're in the mute.
Okay, so I was asking, do you want me to share it in French?
Yes, please, if you can.
Ok. Alors, pour la santé mentale, avec la pandémie, le gouvernement a mis beaucoup de ressources en place justement pour aider les personnes qui souffrent en cette période, parce que les problèmes de santé mentale ont augmenté depuis le début de la pandémie. Mais la difficulté, c'est que les spécialistes, les professionnels sont débordés. Donc, il y a des listes d'attente, il y a énormément de listes d'attente, ce qui fait que ça peut être difficile. J'ai fait le processus moi-même pour avoir une thérapeute. J'étais sur liste d'attente pendant longtemps, mais entre-temps, il faut chercher d'autres alternatives, comme par exemple les lignes d'écoute, en fait, qu'on peut appeler pour parler à quelqu'un quand on se sent en détresse émotionnelle ou mentale. Mais ce qui m'a aussi aidé, c'est de chercher des groupes de soutien. En fait, sur Internet, on peut avoir plein de ressources gratuites par rapport à la problématique que vous vivez. Par exemple, si vous venez de vivre une rupture ou quelque chose comme ça, il y a des groupes de soutien qui existent en ligne. Sur Facebook, il y a plein de groupes et beaucoup de personnes n'exploitent pas cette ressource parce qu'on se dit que bon, voilà. Mais le fait d'être avec des personnes qui ont vécu les mêmes choses ou qui ont traversé ces choses, ça aide à ne pas se sentir seul, de un, qui est un gros facteur dans les problèmes de santé mentale, mais aussi d'avoir de la motivation, de l'inspiration, d'avoir des personnes à qui parler. Et moi, personnellement, ça m'a aidé pendant la période où je n'avais pas accès à une psychologue, à une psychothérapeute. J'étais justement en recherche de ressources en ligne par rapport aux problématiques que je rencontrais. Donc, c'est ce que je pourrais dire comme partager comme astuce, c'est d'aller chercher en ligne parce qu'il y a de l'aide.
Merci beaucoup. And Talia, yeah, do you have any tips that you can share with us about different mechanisms for Black women to seek help during COVID-19 as well?
There we go. Sorry. I think if my limited understanding of French is correct, then I'm going to echo a little bit of what Andrea said in terms of seeking community, seeking groups that you can connect with. I think specifically for Black women, whether you're from the Caribbean or the continent, there's often this feeling that mental health is taboo and it's not to be talked about, and you end up feeling really alone. There's often the sense that you're the only person going through what you're going through. And it's really important that you're able to connect with other women who look like you, who share your experiences, who are able to help you validate that experience that you're having, so that you feel less as if you're abnormal, you feel less as if what you're going through and your responses to those things are unusual. If you're able to find those communities online, through Facebook groups, through Instagram, through other resources that are offered often for free, it can be really helpful just to be in community with people who understand not just the mental health aspect, but the cultural aspect of what you're going through as well.
Thank you so much for that. I have another question. I would like to ask, how can I say that? Do you think that a therapy is only way to attain well-being, or are there daily routines to get rid of stress or a depression to share? I would say Dr. Nuri would like to start.
Sure. So, absolutely not. Therapy is not the only way to go about taking care of your mental health. It is, one way that you can seek a professional who can help guide you through, discovering, inner beliefs about yourself, about the world, going through, different traumas that you may have experienced to different degrees in your past, and figuring out how it's impacting your interactions and relationships with yourself and others. But it's not the only way to help to take care of your mental health. As being in the medical profession, I have to go back to some of the basics in terms of nutrition. Food is not just a cue for hunger, response to hunger, but it is to fuel your body for energy. It's also to give you the nutrients you need for different processes to work, and that includes your mental faculties. Sleeping is a time where you get to rest, regenerate, reset, heal. And that's important. When you have more energy, you notice that your mood is improved, and those types of basic things, including also movement. I can't get away from exercise or movement. These things also help with your mental health. But also, other professionals are out there that are capable of helping. Professionals like myself, naturopathic doctor, health coaches are amazing as well. Holistic nutritionists are different people that can help you in different ways. And taking care of your health, even if you're just starting in one way, if it's physically the personal trainer, any way that you can challenge yourself and grow is going to help improve your mental health. It's going to help improve self-confidence. It's going to help you learn to address challenges and grow and develop. So there are many ways in which you can work on your mental health. It doesn't have to be with or start with a therapist.
Okay, thank you very much for sharing that. Shanda, do you think that as well, that therapy is the only way to attain well-being, or do you think that there is a daily routine that we can use to get rid of stress and depression?
Yes, I believe that daily routines are key to helping to reduce stress and depression. I'm glad that Talia brought up soca dancing because I think music is very, very powerful. In the last year or so, I reconnected with music. I started playing music while I was working. Prior to the job that I have now, I worked frontline, so I worked throughout the pandemic, and while when there was a lockdown, I was still going to work like physically, and it was a very difficult time. So I would play music in the office, and the days that I was off, my coworkers would say, "Oh my God, we know that Chanda's not here today because there's no music in the office," and it would be really quiet. So music is really, really powerful. So things like that, like even every week, I have a day when I listen to, there's a show on CBC called Marvin's Room that's run by Amanda Paris. And now it's being hosted by A Harmony, and I listen to it every Thursday because I work an evening shift, and it really just it's my routine, it's my weekly routine. So that's something that I consciously incorporate into my week as sort of like a wellness thing. I feel I know when I haven't done it because I feel a little empty and off. So that's something that I do. Again, I meditate at least 3 to 4 times before I start work during the week. So things like that, having a daily routine of things that you do really helps to reduce stress. And again, just being intentional about your wellness, being connected to yourself, and that comes with having self-awareness, which is something that I really, really believe in. When you're self-aware, it helps you to get in touch with your feelings, your thoughts, your actions, because it impacts how you show up in the world. So when you're more self-aware, you know what you need.
Yes, yeah, definitely. Thank you. And Talia, what are your daily routine to get rid of stress and depression? Can you share your tips with us?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am an advocate for therapy. I love my therapist. She probably gets tired of me. But I also know that if I only depended on therapy, I would be an absolute mess right now. I live with anxiety, depression, and PTSD. So I have a fun little cocktail of mental health issues. And taking care of my mental health is a consistent and daily practice. I have sort of a policy where I do something to feed my body, my mind, and my soul. So usually that looks like eating breakfast every day. Or when I wake up in the morning, I do mobility exercises to get my body moving. You hold a lot of tension and stress in your joints and in your body, and you lay down all night and then you get up and you just try to jump into your day, and you're just, everything is just locked into you. And so it's just getting your body moving very gently, without any judgment, without any expectation, just being able to get that going, doing things like journaling so that you can get things out. It's not healthy to hold things inside. And if you're not comfortable talking to somebody about them, which is totally understandable, being able to write it down and separate it from your spirit is really important. Doing things like coloring. I love that you meditate, Chanda, but my brain doesn't stop. I can't get it to shut up. But coloring is a really great activity in that you can't do anything else while you're doing it. You can't watch anything. Your brain sort of shuts down as you're coloring. And so you're able to go inside a little bit more. So those are some of the activities that I try to do, if not every day, at least semi-regularly, just to help me keep control of sort of how I'm feeling, to stay in touch with what my body and my spirit and my soul need, and make sure that I'm fueling those with things that really work for me. And those may not work for you, but it's about finding out what makes you feel at peace and centered and leaning into that.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, me too. I daily use kind of mandala to color, to stay focused on what I'm doing. Yeah, it's very helpful. And yes, Andrea, est-ce que tu pourrais nous partager quelques astuces sur la façon dont on pourrait se débarrasser en fait du stress, de la dépression avec nous?
Oui, absolument. Je pense que ce que les autres panélistes ont dit, je résonne beaucoup avec, parce que finalement, c'est une combinaison de différentes pratiques qui fonctionnent pour vous. Ce que je fais, c'est de créer des rituels. En anglais, on dit mindfulness. En français, c'est des rituels de pleine conscience. C'est vraiment des activités qui vous permettent de vous recentrer, de vous connecter à vous-même et d'exprimer ce qui reste en vous. Donc, les émotions, les pensées. Et je dis souvent que nos pensées ne nous appartiennent pas. On peut penser quelque chose, mais ce n'est pas nous, ça ne nous appartient pas et ça ne doit pas vivre en nous, surtout quand ce sont des pensées lourdes ou négatives. Donc, pratiquer le journaling, c'est quelque chose que je fais régulièrement. La méditation au quotidien, c'est important d'avoir une pratique spirituelle, peu importe ce que ça signifie pour vous, mais d'avoir une pratique spirituelle, parce que notre bien-être, c'est holistique, c'est vraiment le corps, l'âme et l'esprit. se nourrir le corps avec des aliments qui sont apaisants. Il y a des aliments qui contribuent à réduire le stress et l'anxiété, mais aussi nourrir son esprit avec des pratiques méditatives ou spirituelles qui permettent justement de se connecter à soi-même, de se connecter à Dieu si on a une croyance justement religieuse ou spirituelle. Et ça a un effet sur le stress et l'anxiété. Et les autres choses que je mets en place, c'est vraiment des pratiques, voilà, c'est l'hygiène de vie, c'est de dormir au moins 8 heures par jour, par nuit. C'est pas le cas tout le temps, mais je vise entre 6 à 8 heures parce que quand je dors moins, je suis stressée dans la journée, je suis fatiguée, je suis de mauvaise humeur. Et c'est de revoir tout le cycle de la journée, en fait, pour minimiser les sources de stress. Et ça, c'est quelque chose qu'on peut faire, sur lequel on a plus de contrôle, même si on ne voit pas de thérapeute, même si on ne parle pas à des professionnels. On peut mettre des rituels au quotidien qui contribuent à réduire l'anxiété et le stress et s'amuser, en fait. Donc, pratiquer de la danse, pratiquer une activité créative, rien que pour vous, pas quelque chose de professionnel. Donc, pas une activité que vous allez mettre en ligne ou vous allez commercialiser, vraiment quelque chose pour vous. Ça peut être du dessin, ça peut être n'importe quoi que vous faites pour vous-même, parce que ça permet de se connecter à sa créativité et ça permet par conséquent de générer des sentiments plus positifs et donc de combattre les états d'anxiété et de stress. Donc, c'est ce que je fais personnellement et ce que vous pouvez implémenter aussi.
Merci beaucoup, c'est très gentil. Fatou?
Merci. So I will put Andrea and Dr. Catherine on the spot for this next question. Just wondering if you two can just tell us about so can you just tell us about what are some of the tips that you can share with Black women that are and women of color who are dealing with complicated health issues? This could be fertility issues, women's health, diet, and so forth. And these women might be feeling that the medical system is failing them. What are some of the options which they have, and what options do you think that they could consider as women of color who might not have as much trust in the usual medical systems? So I don't know if Andrea, you wanted to start with that one?
Yes, I can. I work with women with reproductive health disorders. It's also something that I have experienced myself, having suffered from fibroids, ovarian cyst, polycystic ovary syndrome, and I was told I wouldn't have children naturally, and I'm a mother of 2. And this is a result of taking my health into my own hands. And unfortunately, a lot of women feel let down by the healthcare system as it exists today, especially now with the COVID. You can't see a doctor for period pain. You can have a surgery for fibroids. So you are basically left on your own to try to figure out how to heal your body. And the work we do now, as a holistic health practitioner, as a herbalist, and also Dr. Catherine as a naturopathic doctor, it is so important because there are solutions to heal your womb. There are solutions to balance your hormones. There are solutions that are not necessarily expensive, that do not necessarily require you to go through surgery to actually have a healthy, normal, regular menstrual cycle and to heal some reproductive health disorders. So my first tip is always to get to know your cycle. Get to know your menstrual cycle, understand the different phases. It's not just period. Period is just one part of the menstrual cycle. There are 4 different phases. So understanding the different phases, educating yourself actually to know, okay, what exactly is happening during my menstruation, knowing that it is not normal to have a painful, heavy menstruation. It is common, but it's not normal. So knowing that there are ways you can actually reduce it and feel comfortable with your body is the first step. Because once you are comfortable with your menstrual cycle, once you understand what to eat to have less painful menstruation, you know what herbs to use, what herbs you need to keep at home to reduce menstrual cramps, what herbs you need to take to optimize fertility if you're trying to conceive. It is very important. And I always say that women and people with uterus, you need to be fertile, whether or not you're trying to have babies, because being fertile is a sign of optimal health. it's like a vital sign. So knowing that your body, your body functions the way it is supposed to be, that you have a regular ovulation, it's very important, because ovulation, for instance, affects your mental health. Because of the hormones, the progesterone, that is the hormone that affects your levels of anxiety. So for me, it's a way to, it's my first tip is always to understand your cycle, and then add different things, because it's a holistic way. You have to look at the diet. You have to add in herbs and supplements. I work with herbs. It is my job. So one of the key herbs that I advise all women to have at home, because it is actually helpful whether you experience period cramps, or you are trying to conceive, or you are pregnant, or you just have a baby. It's really helpful throughout your entire life as a woman, is red raspberry leaf. It's a herb that really helps with anything related to the womb, basically. And there are other herbs like yarrow, lady's mantle, that you can have at home, because I think now it is so important for women to be their own healers, to understand what are herbal remedies, and to seek professional help, because just because something is natural doesn't mean it is safe for you and that it's going to work for you. And the third tip that I have is understand and connect to your womb wisdom. And it's part of the work that I do. Is really we have an inner wisdom that is attached to the womb. The womb is the place that stores all of our emotions, our traumas, our anger, and all of the things that we have not expressed. It's also the temple of our creativity or our femininity. And to be connected to your womb is to be able to access these aspects of yourself that you have rejected. With all of the women I work with who experience, for instance, fibroids, when you look at their history, her story, I love saying her story. When you look at their background, you understand that there were some traumas, whether it happened in their lives or in their mother's lives or the grandmother's life. The womb stores everything and remembers everything. So working with herbs and nutrition is amazing, but also implementing, emotional and mental health practices to access these emotions and eventually heal them and release them is, for me, essential to be fertile, to be healthy, and to get rid of the most common reproductive health issues that women face today.
Thank you so much for that, Andrea, bringing in your health stories, and as well just bringing that intersection of health and well-being was critical. And that's why we wanted to ask this question within the panel. So I guess we'll have Dr. Catherine also add her perspective to it as well.
Thanks. That was so well said. I almost don't need to add anything to that response. But I will add a couple of things to kind of to round that out, I guess, a little bit. And what I would point out is that your reproductive health, your menstrual cycle, the health of it, how you feel during your cycle, your period, your PMS, this is not just something that happens in isolation in your body. It is a result of many different processes in your body interacting, and is a signal of your overall health, not just of your reproductive health, but your overall health. So, when it comes to ovulation, the brain stimulates the ovaries then produce progesterone. The progesterone helps with the building of the lining. If you're stressed, it's going to take away from progesterone. Everything is connected. And so taking care of your overall health is also going to help to take care of your menstrual health. So I, coming from a more medical aspect, I would like for people to get their blood tests done regularly. And here's the thing, when you go to see your family doctor, very, very likely they're not going to ask you about your reproductive health. They're not going to ask you how your period is, do you have any cramps, any pains, how long it is. They're not going to ask you about that at all. It's not part of the critical care. So in Canada, we like to think that we have free healthcare, but really we have free screening care. When you go to see a family doctor, they're really screening to make sure that you don't have anything that's going to kill you. It's not necessarily about optimal health when you go to see your family doctor, unfortunately. So getting educated, finding out which tests that you should ask for, advocating for yourself in that way is really important. Get a copy of your lab work. Bring it to see someone else who may be able to give you some more insight as to what's going on. Because low thyroid function doesn't have to be full-on hypothyroidism. That can lead to heavy periods. That can lead to development of, other conditions. Having issues with blood sugar regulation, that can contribute to developing PCOS, especially if that's something that already runs in your family. Endometriosis, that's an inflammatory condition. So if you've got a lot of inflammatory things happening, one of them is digestive issues. That's a huge sign of inflammation happening in the body. That can contribute. So nothing is happening in isolation. So it's really good to get someone's help who can help guide you around what factors are affecting your menstrual cycle, because your menstrual cycle is, or your menstrual health is a reflection of your overall health.
Thank you for that, Dr. Catherine, and just ensuring that we look into the details of our health rather than overlooking things. So to close us off, I'll have Talia and Chanda close us off. My question to you both is well-being and our futures. We're going into a new 2021. We thought it's going to be different, but we understand how things are progressing right now. How should we be taking better care of ourselves? How can we, whether it is mentally, physically, spiritually, please?
I think Andrea and Dr. Neri have, hit it on the head to say that, the body and the mind and the spirit are all like connected. And I think recognizing that is really, really important. I also think we need to honor ourselves. And what that means is, being intentional about our well-being, being intentional about, how we take care of ourselves. I think we really need to stop looking at self-care and well-being as something that's, that's new agey, that's something that, that we can chat about, but something that we are actively participating in every day because it contributes to our overall health.
Thank you. And Talia?
So for me, one of the things that I like to share with people, and I speak largely from a mental health perspective because that's really where my expertise through experience resides, I guess you could say. And I think what's really important, I think going through the next year and with all of this unprecedented circumstances we're dealing with, is to be radically honest about how you're doing. I know that there's this pressure to be positive. Everything's great. I'm feeling fine. And it's crap. Just like, for lack of a more tactful way to say it, it's a really horrible way to approach things. You would not say that about your physical health. You would not say that if you were living in a place that was threatening your physical health. So we shouldn't take that approach to mental health either. It is fine to say, this is awful. I am struggling. I am sad. This is hard. Because once you're able to acknowledge that honestly, once you're able to have that open and honest self-awareness about where you stand, that's where you can begin making the changes to improve your situation. I'm not sure who coined the term, but it's toxic positivity to constantly pretend that you're always okay. I think we need to throw that out, especially as women of color, where we're meant to present this strength all the time. And I don't think it's strong to pretend that you're okay. I think it takes real strength to be vulnerable and to share when you're not doing well, and then to say, okay, I'm going to do something about that now. So I'd say approach this year with radical honesty, be unafraid to be truthful about that. you have to take care of yourself first, and pretending that you're okay for other people's sake really just does more harm to you, and then in the long run to the people you're trying to protect anyway. So take care of you in a truly honest way.
Thank you for closing us off so well, Talia. Radically honest about our well-being. That's what we all need to be doing for this year. So thank you, ladies, for this panel. So many great tips shared here. It's so insightful. Before we close off, where can the audience connect with you all on? Talia, do you want to share?
Yes, so you can find me everywhere at Talia Leacock. That's Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, all of the major platforms. I also have a blog at talialeacock.com where I talk about the intersection of Black womanhood, entrepreneurship, and wellness. And I would love to connect with anybody who's passionate about any of those topics or just wants to have a soca party with me someday. I'm cool with that too.
Yes, I'll share an interesting fact. Talia is an amazing writer. She wrote one of these amazing poems for me that I framed back in the day. Over to you, Andrea. Where can people find you on social media, or how can they get connected with you?
I was trying to unmute myself.
No worries.
So I am Andrea Bomo on all platforms, Instagram, Twitter, and my company is Anelia Apothecary on Instagram, and we share all kinds of wellness tips and natural health remedies for all kinds of issues, from stress to anxiety to PMS to fertility. So make sure you follow these accounts if you are interested in learning more on natural ways to take care of yourself and your family.
Thank you. There's actually a question in the comment box for you, Andrea, and Dr. Catherine. One of our audience members, Karen Kwame, she said, do you accept private insurance? Before I close off.
Yes, I do. So most health benefits from workplaces cover naturopathic services, and I do direct billing. For most companies, some policies don't let you in. Some companies I don't have that direct connection with, but for most, yeah. And since I'm talking, I'll just say that you can find me on Instagram at Dr. Catherine Nuri, Facebook and LinkedIn as well. Same name that you see listed below there. And probably Instagram is the best way to follow me.
Excellent. Chanda?
So I'm not heavy on social these days, but my blog is chandalalaland.com. So is Twitter, I believe I'm at chandalalaland. Instagram, I think the same. LinkedIn is just my full name, but I'm best reached at my email, which is my last name, chandalala @gmail.com. And thank you so much for this opportunity. This was great.
Excellent, ladies. I would clap for you really hard. Thank you, ladies, for this time and all your tips.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Microphone. Open your mic. Really?
I was muted. So, all right, it was such a great panel on well-being. So I encourage you all, women, of course, because it is often challenging to find women of color or Black women in the medical field, in the holistic sort of field as well. So if you want to connect with them, they have shared their information with you, and I'm sure that you can also find it on our website because we have put the information on there. So I just wanted to thank all these amazing panelists for those two panels. You will see that those two panels are very much connected to the current context we're currently in. So this brings us to the very end of our 4th edition of the Women of Diversity. Very different. We really wanted to do a big in-person event, but nonetheless, it has been amazing. I really enjoyed the participation from everybody. So I just really want to take the time to first thank all the panelists, thank all the nominees and the winners. As well, I just want to make sure that I do something that I forgot to do this morning, but that I think is extremely important, because we're talking about International Women's Day in the context of Black women and women of color. But one thing that I did not do, but I do also believe that is very important and want to do it right now, is to acknowledge the land that we're currently in, because it's important also to recognize our Indigenous people. So bear with me while I do this quickly. So I just wanted to to begin or finish by acknowledging the Indigenous people of all the lands that we are on today. So while we meet today on the virtual platform, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the importance of the lands, which we each call home. So we do this to reaffirm our commitment and responsibility in improving relationships between nations and to improving our own understanding of local Indigenous peoples and their cultures. From coast to coast to coast, we acknowledge the ancestral and unceded territory of all the Inuit, Métis, and First Nation people that call this land home. Donc, je vais finir par reconnaître les peuples autochtones des terres sur lesquelles nous nous trouvons aujourd'hui. Alors que nous nous rencontrons aujourd'hui sur une plateforme virtuelle, j'aimerais prendre un moment pour reconnaître l'importance des terres que nous appelons chacune et chacun chez nous. Nous le faisons pour réaffirmer notre engagement et notre responsabilité dans l'amélioration des relations entre les nations et pour améliorer notre compréhension des peuples autochtones locaux et de leur culture. D'un océan à l'autre, nous reconnaissons le territoire ancestral et non cédé de tous les Inuits, Métis et membres des Premières Nations qui considèrent cette terre comme leur foyer. Merci. And so I would like to, before we do the closing with Fatou and Fatima, I just wanted to invite Aisha Barrow. Life in the Tribe is the alias of Gambian-born, Hamilton-based artist Aisha Barrow, previously releasing music under her birth name, which means she who lives. Aisha wanted to convey the collaborative nature of her music and the tribe of musicians and producers who back her R&B-based pop project, a sound that can be described as an amalgamation of jazz, R&B, rock, and pop. And so now, on to you, Aisha. Take her away.
Thank you so much for having me once again. My name is Aisha of Life in the Tribe, and I've got a song for you today by Nina Simone to sort of usher in the springtime and better days ahead. And I hope it really brings you guys hope and just ease for what's to come for us, because I truly believe that we have better days ahead of us. Okay. Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me, and I'm feeling good. Oh, fish in the sea, you know how I feel. River running free, you know how I feel. Blossom on a tree, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn. It's a new day. It's a new life for me. And I'm feeling dragonfly in the sun. You know how I feel. Butterflies having fun. You know what I mean. Sleep in peace when the day is done. You know what I mean. And this old world is a new world for me. And I'm feeling good. Oh, stars when you shine, you know what I mean. Scent of a pine, you know how I feel. Oh, freedom is mine. You know how I feel. It's a new dawn. It's a new day. It's a new life. It's a new dawn. It's a new day. It's a new life for me. And I'm feeling good. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Yes, yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Life in the Tribe. Thank you for closing this event. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. A special thank you to our sponsors, Air Canada and Shea Moisture, for holding us down this year for a wonderful event. We appreciate you. We thank you. And a special shout out to the team at Event Place, really, for doing this work behind the scene.
Thank you, Kelly.
Yes, thank you for all the work. We really appreciate you. And that's it on my end. Fatou and Fatima, if you have something else to say, go ahead. Thank you.
Yes, my only thing is special shout outs to Kelly. This is the second year of us throwing this down, and it just has been a successful event. I've been in the back end for the most part of it, watching and making sure that everything was fine. And honestly, it was just fabulous. And thank you to you, Kelly, because we know how everything changed up in the last minute and you hosted it and you threw it down. Congratulations to all the winners. Thank you to our panelists for all the fabulous tips they left behind for our audiences. Thank you for also staying with us throughout. We had high numbers the whole entire time. We hope to see you next year, and it will be in person for sure.
Yes, me, I think I would like to speak in French. Yeah. Écoute, merci beaucoup Kelly pour tout. Merci pour, vraiment, t'as vraiment assuré. Franchement, chapeau. Merci beaucoup à l'équipe Even Place. Thank you, Tal, Adam. Thank you, for your support. Yeah, we really appreciate it. Thank you, Fatou. Thank you for the nominees. Thank you to the how can I say that? Audience, as well. Yeah, honestly, great. So we hope to see you next year. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.